Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome to our Hear Me Out stream. Hear Me Out show, episode 7. We're sat on the IRL before our guests, while our guests get themselves ready. And we've got some banging music on in the background for you as well. A little bit of a hint as to who is appearing on the show today. Obviously, it's one of my favourite songs to listen to on the commute in, of course. I'm just going to do a little bit of a shilling. I've got to do a little bit of shilling of my show in the Discords, of course. So let's get on with that as well. And I hope we're going to have a very, very good show today. I've learnt a lot in these last few streams. I've learnt how, in the Hear Me Out streams, how we can bring the content, how we can have such great. I know they're listening to it. I know my guests are listening to me, so I can see them on the call now, and I know they're eager to get stuck in to the stream this evening. So I'd say buckle up, get ready for this. I'm excited for this one. It's going to be the first multi-guest streaming podcast, which means it might go quite civilized. We might have some really good discussion. It might go to hell. It might be an absolute meme fest. We'll have to see. And I did use meme fest in a sentence. I don't care, because I'm that excited for this show. So, for those who want to know what this song is, well, it's of course the previous alias of one of our guests. It's an absolute banger. All we can do, listen to it on your commute. It is an absolute stonker of a tune. And that is going to bring us on to other guests. Hello, Mr. Sean and Mr. Hello Wilson. There. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Absolutely. Can I do my little intro?
Oh, it goes.
Yes, we can, because we're moving on to the new overlay.
It's not even really my little intro. It's more like just like my old stream intro, but retold.
Oh.
So. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome one and all once again to another exciting, invigorating and exhilarating podcast from Musty Dutch, Will Storms and myself, Shinon. Buckle up, lube your ass crack, and let's enjoy the ride, shall we? Because we're going to be talking about some serious discussion topics, most of which Musty Dutch probably has listed already.
I have got plans. I've got plans for the stream. We've tried a new tactic for today's stream. We're improving.
Fantastic.
And that includes a new license I've sort of acquired to let us play a bit of music in the background over these, because we've gone 6 episodes without music being played in the background, so we might be able to
have one of the criticisms you got, right? Like the improvement feedback suggestions.
We had feedback. We did have a suggestion where they were kind of sad that we didn't have some sort of faint music in the background, so we started it off with a bit of Ecstatic. Obviously, one of the best music creators of the last decade. For
in
sure.
The radio industry, they call that bedding music.
Yes.
I was going to say, like, Are you going to use like what James did over at University Radio? Just have like a bunch of Pokemon root music on in the background.
I don't know. No.
Or like your D&D where it's all forest theme based. So like, right, that's it. We're not doing a fight anymore. You're in a forest.
So because I'm like quite talented at audio editing and stuff, what James used to get me to do was get like the soundtrack and stuff from games like Sonic Adventure 2 and just edit it so that it loops seamlessly for like half an hour and just like put it on the whole time in the background, and that'll be like it for the betting music. It'll be like the instrumental for the Eggman theme tune, but just like looped over and over
I
again.
am the Eggman.
That's what I am. I am the Eggman. I love it that like if you listen carefully, the vocal harmonies in the background go Eggman like that. It's great.
It's I said this too. It's if you've seen It's Always Sunny, but where it sounds like Nightman. It's like
the day man. Champion of the sun. No,
so we've, as you will see, we've had Shin on a previous show. It was
we've had Shin on before.
Well, yes, we have Shin on before. That was episode 2, if I'm right. I think it was episode 2.
I was your first guest.
It was you were indeed our first guest. That was the
remember me when you're big and you're doing those live shows at like South by Southwest or EGX or whatever convention you're going to be invited to. In
EGX gang. Yeah,
you remember me.
You telling me that Musty Duck is going to become bigger than Ninja? He's going to fully sell out and try to break the world record for the amount of people plotting.
Of course.
All you need is like the next big thing to come out and be the first person on Twitch playing it. You missed the boat with Apex Legends, unfortunately. So sorry about
that. I'd sort of. It's interesting you say that, because a couple of people said that same sort of thing. It's like, I'm surprised that you weren't streaming Apex. I'm surprised you weren't showing off at the start.
Trend chasing is bullshit.
But the thing is, and it kind of goes against what I said, where I think that what people should be doing on Twitch is focusing on purely on one game and making all the content for that one game. It's very hard to say I'm gonna just keep swapping and to make something work. So that's why I'm doing talk show on Wednesday and the Sonic streams on the weekends, which, as far as I could tell, the Sonic streams have been going pretty well.
They have.
They've been engaging enough. They've created memes. Some deeply hurtful memes, because I feel like I am trying my best with them.
Deeply hurtful memes.
They are deeply hurtful. It's we've got a straight ill intelligence.
$10 a month. Your $10 a month subscription could save Musty Dutch from.
It could. Well, it's 5. We're not going for 10. We're not. Oh, but we're not. I don't need your money, which does bring on a topic that I do want to sort of discuss.
Just to
discuss to say. I was going to introduce you properly, Will. I wasn't going to say yes. We've had Shannon on before. We had him on over a month ago, and it's mad to say we're on episode 7 already. It feels like I've only done like a couple of streams of this.
Absolutely. Taken 7 episodes to get me, but
7, yeah. So I thought we'll experiment with multi-guest. So we have brought on one of, I'm not sure if you're joint longest with Polarity, but you have been a sub for. I can't. Was it 7? How many months were you sub for? 17.
I think he's number 1 in bits, right? As well.
He's number 1 in bits, so he's actually given the most of his money to me. And he's been subbed one of the longest.
Hello, Ill Intelligence.
My total is 15 months.
So 15 months. I know Michael. Polarity, and Michael's obviously because I know him in real life. Polarity's on 18 months. So I think he's pretty much been subbed since the start of as soon as I got affiliate. So that's a proper mad thing. It's and then Mr. Will Storms here has been the second longest and been a very, very loyal supporter. He's not here all the time, but he's been loyal when he can be.
2 absent friends.
Yes. and to sort of thank and to sort of call him out for what he did in preparation for the stream. He said beforehand that I'm actually going to call him out. Is that he moved his poster from behind him to across the room so that everyone knew who his favourite girl was.
And to answer Wackrog's question in chat, the blonde weeb is you.
Nah, fuck you.
Hey, let's not attack our audience. Let's not it's not like the radio where we can all see each other. So, is that the first time you've done your bed as well, Mr. Willstorm? So you do that all the time?
All right, I'll have you know that I actually make my bed every morning.
Oh, okay.
Most mornings.
All right.
Real adult.
Just running out of curiosity. We've sort of got to inspect the room of who's on. So yeah, I'd say that was pretty safe. Yeah. So Mr. Shinon is showing us his room.
Dump. We got these empty
dump
boxes that my monitor said, this is my wardrobe. These are my curtains that I've had since I was like 7.
No,
it's bad. Like I have this.
Their initial initial D curtains. That's all you got to say.
Yeah, they are. Look at this. Look. Deja vu. I've just been in this place before. Higher on the street.
Stinky boy. We don't know about it. You can't guess. You can't just attack people's hygiene on stream.
This curtain is always open. Do you know why?
Because it looks at a brick wall or something.
No. Because no one sleeps in Tokyo. Sorry. That was
okay. I thought I was going in for a legit answer. I apologise for that.
You've set the entire tone of this this episode, and it's off to an interesting start.
It's off to an interesting start. I thought, yeah. Well, I mean, it could have. It was playing a lot worse in my head, but no. Thank you very much for the good introduction.
It's still over an hour left.
There is. Well, I mean, we can go on for a long time. I've got this booked out for about 2 hours maximum.
I can go basically indefinitely.
Oh, I bet you can.
Just keep myself on the edge the whole time. I held the world.
Marassi is calling out the Chisake wall scroll. What a weeb! I think we're going to have a bit of a weeb theme this evening. Of course,
yeah,
I'm not totally wholly innocent. I've got my Konosuba wall scroll up there.
At least I've got a better girl on my wall.
Nah, but you say that though. But I think you're just wrong in so many ways. And I'm not going to argue it because it's my show and I'm right, and everything I say is right. So, what are topics?
Pretty well fleshed out.
So we got where's my Shinon Musty Dutch wall scroll? Please don't ever make that. Do not, under no circumstance.
It's going to be a body pillow.
Make a concept of that. No. We're not having any sort of fan fiction or any sort of crossover nonsense between me and Mr. Shinon. We are working professionals.
If you write it, I will read it out on my stream.
We're all working professionals, and and we're all doing our bits. And staying on that theme, I've sort of I've appreciated. This is just me sort of doing a little bit of a thank you. I've appreciated all of the feedback I've been having on the podcast. I've said it's been quite good, and I'm spending a lot of my extra time putting in a bit of effort to have like this new sort of look. As you'll notice, we have got a new look. We've even shilling the Titchiglu because some people that is know what we're the little organisation we're part of, and I've actually got my bot on this time, so you know what command to use, and it's even got the date, so you know what day it is, and what the episode number, and with big fancy lettering as to who is on. It is. Oh no! Why? Oh no! It is on. It is on. I swear down, my bot is on.
It's on.
Oh, my bot's not working. F.
Does Will Storms play Anisok President Simulator 2019?
My god. Yeah. So.
I'll be back next year. I'll be taking back president. Just you wait.
Are you going to do it? Are you going to do a masters year?
Oh no!
Coming back to Hull? No, I didn't think so.
Alright, I'm gonna have to.
Imagine?
Oh, I know why. It's my bot's not working. So I've got a few topics to talk about, and the new improvement to this was that I made a poll during the week. Now, this poll was on my Hear Me Out Twitter account, and the voting has just closed for that. So what we asked, and it's going to sort of go along the topic of obviously we have the bit in the show where we talk about our favourite games. We have the guests come on and talk about what favourite games you are. Are you okay there, Shinon? Are you?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm just like wiping some coffee that I accidentally spilled on my face off.
Okay, all right.
Right, just before you get into this poll thing, right? Just because Shinon was on about fucking what is it, fad chasing with Apex Legends.
Mhm.
The problem with the battle
Hi,
royale
Becky. Hello,
being,
hello,
like,
hello.
absolute crap is that you can't chase the fad because all the popular people will just start playing it the moment it comes out. Most likely early access as well.
It's kind of been and gone. Like what you need to do with fads is, I think the whole like.
You need to ride a new one. You can't ride the battle royale one. That's
no. You need to ride one that hasn't happened yet. And the problem with like trying to ride a fad that hasn't happened yet is that you don't know what it's going to be. So your best shot is to spread yourself around and take sort of wild stabs at things that you think ought to be popular, and then hopefully when they get popular, you will have been there first. So that's kind of one of the things I was trying to do with 100% Orange Juice, and then I realized, oh wait a minute, this game has been out like almost literally 10 years now, and although it's like phenomenal meme material, it's probably never going to happen. So there's that. But you got to pick your fads, you know. Maybe, I don't know, streaming obscure 3D platformers from the early 2000s will become a fad, and Johnny will be straight in on that shit.
Do you feel bad for the people that thought that Anthem was going to be the new big fad?
Well,
who thought that? Did anyone actually think that?
I'm not too sure.
Maybe for like a week after the E3 announcement.
Yeah, but it was just like, well, I don't care what you say, that trailer is pre-rendered and you're lying.
Well, what about it? In-game graphics?
Like, oh, bollocks was it? Bollocks was it? I honestly, genuinely, I do not know how the fuck they get away with that. Like,
I know it's not in-game graphics. It's rendered in-engine, which means absolutely fuck all.
Actually, do you remember? Shit, I can't remember what game it was, but I think it was like in the early 2000s. One of Microsoft's E3 presentations. They had like a stock Photoshop lens flare on one of their screenshots. It was something really, really just obscenely obvious like that. It's like, oh yeah, this is like pre-rendered, post-processed Photoshop shit. It's like the default lens flare, and it's like, oh, all new lighting effects and graphics and
RTX on
processing. RTX on Photoshop lens.
Yes,
flare.
RTX on. Like that's what.
Oh yeah. So I had this absolutely brilliant thing. There was like a meme that I was going to make from this. So you know, I have like a shit job. I work in a cafe. And
hey, there is no such thing. If you're working, you're working. Let's point that out. Let's point that out to everyone.
I suppose so, but like,
yes, some jobs may not be able to
taking down the unemployment.
No, it's a good job. So don't play yourself down. We're not none of that today.
There are bad things about it. I don't really like. I'm not going to lie and say that I enjoy mopping the floor every evening because I really, really don't. But there's this one bit of floor that's like completely matte. And there are no reflections at all in it, but when you mop it, you can see a reflection of all the shelves and the ceiling lights and stuff. So what I was going to do is I was going to take a photo of it before and after and put the RTX off and on, the logos on it. But yeah, I didn't get round to that because if I bring out my phone to take a picture of the floor while I'm at work...
They were going, why aren't you working?
They will be like, why are you taking a picture of the floor and not working? They'll be like, yeah.
Is that what your colleagues sound like?
No, that's my general like impression of people who are mad at me.
Yes, Shannon has a bunk bed. Well spotted.
Yeah,
could be a really big shelf.
Storage
could be a really big shelf. Look, basically,
it effectively is that.
Look,
now.
People need the coffee in the morning. People go to your coffee shop and have coffee, and they need it in the morning. So that is not a bad job. But they need it, and if they don't get the coffee in the morning, then they're going to be sad for the rest of the day. You help lives.
I do.
You help lives. Look at it that way. You help lives.
I'm a pharmacist. But the only drug is caffeine. It's great.
Well, what's wrong with that? I don't see anything wrong with that.
And whatever like horrible caffeine replacement they put in the decaf.
Ugh. Don't get decaf. It's like the vegans of the coffee world maybe getting. What's the point?
It's like hiring a hooker and asking for a hug.
Right, that's the worst anecdote I've ever heard.
Why the fuck would you get coffee in England instead of a tea?
Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's rewind a bit. So let's
teas are only £1 where I work, so perfectly fine.
Let's rewind back a moment and talk about. So you run about this fad with Apex and saying that yes, you should be hopping onto sort of a bandwagon to stream it. And
you should have an ear to the ground, basically. But that's like the extent of it. That's really all you can do.
I get that people. It's very hard, even when a new game comes out that is good, because the problem with Apex was that is that a lot of the top streamers they sort of got sponsored at the start, so before it would literally day one, no one obviously has ever heard of this thing, so they sponsored all the top streamers to go and play it. Oh yeah, and then they said, wow, this is a really good game, so then everyone else has to then hop on the bandwagon. So that it's like the people were already on it. It was like a very, very full bus already. So, and it's people trying to then like hop on the back, sort of trying to squeeze in through the doors to be on that hype train.
Yeah,
it's
because Battle Royale's already like just like it's taken over in terms of streamers. Like this, it's probably near impossible to like break into like the top of that now.
Yeah, what is this sort of like resurgence of really popular multiplayer kind of online games that only have one map? It's like, I don't know, like the only game in antiquity, I suppose, that was sort of like popular in the competitive scene that only had one course was Ridge Racer. Like the original Ridge Racer on PS1, which literally it has one track, which is Ridge City, and you drive around it for high scores or whatever. But like, suddenly 20 years later, Dota 2, it's like, oh, there's only one map. And then, you know, Apex Legends, only one map. And I think Fortnite only has one map as well.
Yeah, but they ever evolve it. They keep things fresh all the time on that game, at least. So, yeah. I guess it's not like... I mean, I played League as Will knows, and that was kind of like one map for like years upon years upon years, and it's still like not much has changed.
That anyone actually plays.
Not much has changed really in the league, even with League of Legends main map. Sure, they've got Aero and they've got they still got the 3v3 map.
But
they're not like, they're just like fun party maps, that sort of things, aren't they? They're not like a serious. They're not like a serious competitive map. It's all happens on that same map that's existed for years.
I had this.
That's what kind of still worked. I don't know.
I had this idea about Heroes of the Storm, which is a competing MOBA to League of Legends for those not in the know, and I quite like playing it back in the day. But it has more, on the face of it, it has more maps than League of Legends because it's got like 10 or 11 or something. They kept on updating.
That's true, yeah.
And it's just like
however, League of Legends has one map that anybody plays, which is one more than any of the maps people play on Heroes of the Storm because nobody plays that game anymore.
It's kind of sad how Heroes of the Storm went. I think it did have a sort of bit of a promise, and I did play it quite a lot. I did actually play it quite a lot.
It was the final death because it was when all the Blizzard stuff was going on, like the stock price was going. They just basically took every single developer from Hearts and went, "You now have to work on a real project that makes money."
Yeah,
they just like completely destroyed it.
It is dead.
Basically, it's on like maintenance, life support. It's like security updates for Windows. You know, when it has like the last 3 years of support is like security updates only, nothing else.
Let's pop into the chat kind of for just a moment as well. We'll have a look at what they're saying in there. Nice choice in chair, Will. You got a chair shout out, Will. So well done.
It
is. I think the Apex streaming, especially all that Apex, even still like all that top row of games on Twitch, you've got to have a bit of the top streamers will say it's not luck and I've done this so well and that's why that's made me popular and I think it's slightly false.
You're doing an impression of me there.
You know what my accent is when I do an impression of you.
Oh God, I can't believe you've done this.
Oh, Tomo come in with a subscription. Thank you very much for the 2 months.
Shinon does have a bunk bed. Shinon does have a bunk bed. This is the top bunk.
Clap to Tomo. Well done, Tomo. You are paying for this content, and you are therefore not a leech, according to said streamer who was on Twitter this week, and that's going to come up just shortly. We are going to talk about that, and I will explain what happened with that, just to those who don't know what's happened.
It's interesting.
So, could stream Minecraft. We need to resurrect Shackleton, definitely. That needs to happen at some point.
What was the song again? And if you mine in Shackleton, my gun.
Yeah, we miss Shackleton. There we go, Wackra. Get some lyrics out for us.
Get that copy pasta in chat.
So you can't be popular in 3 ways: be funny, have a good personality, be good at games, or be hot. That's some controversial reason. We can't really go down that route. Can't really go down that route. It's a bit of a yikes topic.
Yikes-a-rama.
It is a yikes topic.
I have absolutely no idea what this topic is about, so you're going to
So
have to
bring back
news
competitive
sources.
Power Stone. I don't know what Power Stone is, unfortunately.
What,
Someone
you,
might have to
did
explain
they
that
never
one.
make you play Power Stone?
Oh,
No,
fuck
I don't
me.
know. I don't know what
It
Power
was such a
Stone
bad
is.
game. It is not good.
Power
in
Stone's
any
great.
way.
So Battle Royale they got a free to play Royale mode as well. Tetris 99 has got a Battle Royale mode, and that is actually like very fun to play. You've got to have have brains. You've got to have brains with Tetris 99. Definitely.
That is not something you can stream, though. Really,
No, it's not.
is it?
It's not something you can
Tetris
stream.
99.
Definitely
No,
not.
it's big stress, that game. Big
Big
stress.
stress.
But like, there's a game that I'm playing at the moment called Slipstream, and Slipstream is a 1980s, 90s style like Outrun-esque kind of arcade racing game, where the goal is to get to the end of sort of a preset course as quickly as possible. At the end of each stage of the course, you can choose a left route, which is supposed to be easier, and a right route, which is supposed to be harder. And along the way, you encounter like rivals and enemies that you have to overtake. And go. There's a battle royale mode in that, basically, where you go through a gauntlet of every single course, and you have to race against all of the other enemy characters in the game. And I won the battle.
That sounds more like a final boss than a battle royale, 'cause it's not.
Yeah, it's like a boss rush, but at the end of it, there's like a sort of 1980s vaporwave, like synthwave remix of the Fortnite.
Oh no!
Oh no!
And for those of you who are going to suggest that I make a Eurobeat version of that, it's been done. Sorry.
It's been done.
Yeah, somebody already did that. Somebody got that before me.
Yeah, Battle Royale got one. So Battle Royale was a free to play Battle Royale, but then they made the Royale version to play a pay version, and then realised all the other Battle Royale games are you pay for them. You don't pay for them. Sorry. So you can't bring out a Battle Royale game that's I guess except in COD's case.
Yeah, but COD has like
and PUBG's been out since the start, so that's worked. And then you've got and then COD's like, well, COD is just COD. You always pay for COD. Like you can't make COD free.
Literally, imagine paying money for video games in 2019.
I know, it's madness.
Can you even
imagine that? Have you just pre-ordered Division 2 and bought Smash Fighters Pass and all
that game cost me
pre-ordered Crash Team Racing
something?
Remaster, all that stuff I can't get for free.
I'm not buying video games for like probably until near the end of the year, because I am about to spend money on something absolutely unbelievably expensive. A little project I'm working on, basically.
Oh, is it?
Before
can you share it?
Get started on I can. Before I get started on like actually officially releasing any tracks at all, there's been a big thing at the moment. Well, not really at the moment. It's been going on for the last few years, but has only been escalating. Of audio software companies suing people who have released commercial tracks made with pirated software. So basically, a company like Nexus, for example, because like the people who work on that software know what those particular synths sound like, and you know, if I load up a piece of dance music and I hear like a, I'm like, oh yeah, that's obviously a fucking Nexus preset.
Oh, obviously.
So basically, like the people who make that software can go, that's a Nexus preset. We're going to check our client list for this person's name, and if it's not on it, they sue.
So you're buying software then, is what you're doing?
Yeah, literally, basically, I have to load it on every.
Well,
every
that's
plugin,
a good.
every
You're being a
audio
good
station,
citizen.
every piece
You're being
of
a good
software.
citizen. And
I'm being a good consumer, but let me tell you now. Do you know Auto-Tune is $400?
How about you just get?
How about you just sing? How about you just spend it on singing lessons?
Yeah,
There's like $400, like $400 on Auto-Tune, or $400 ready to sing. It'd probably maybe even be less than that. Like
no, but because like I use Auto-Tune as an effect, like on my voice, you can hear it in my older songs. But
in the older songs,
and
his previous alias, which we did play at the start.
Before you make the immortal joke, that's $400 is a one-time
just sing
fee
into a fan
for just the plugin, not like $400 per instance of Auto-Tune. So I'm not paying $800 to $1,200 for it.
You can
sing
into a fan. That makes you sound all like weird and robotic-y.
I need to spend lots of money on vocal processing plugins. otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, it's cheaper than buying studio like professional physical studio hardware 20 odd years ago or something. So I can't really complain, and I don't have to like buy loads of tape cartridges and things, which is great.
Yeah, but if you make a tape, you can drop it, and then you can like go lit. Like...
Well, I can do that with my hard drive. I can do that with my hard drive.
Boom, lit. Hey, love. Have a bang on
you telling Shinon that it's a waste of money because he can't say check out my mixtape?
Check out my mixtape. Check out my mixtape, ladies. You can't say that if you don't. You're not gonna go. Oh yes, here's my URL to my YouTube video.
Yeah,
How about you check that out? How about you check that out, female specimen?
Download my Argorbis.
Yeah, which is little unregistered Hypercam too in the top.
Have you heard of Slack?
Peak my SoundCloud, yeah. Have you heard my mixtape on SoundCloud?
Vanishing charisma boys.
Send it. Yeah, we've got Marassi in chat.
Right.
Send my mixtape to many women.
The many women's. Many women's. Right, let's sort of get some order and try to come back towards the topic. I want
to clarify something that Jack said in the chat. Ill said, right, MOBA Battle Royale, that is technically already inside League of Legends in the beta game mode Nexus Splits. There's a few different versions of a Battle Royale inside that mode. So it's already been done.
So League's getting Battle Royale?
Yeah, it's like a mini game inside of a game, in like a for-fun game.
God.
It's actually really fucking fun though. It's actually brilliant.
Yeah, but that's like, alright, well that's how people felt about Apex. They go, oh no, nothing but a Battle Royale. And then, oh, this is pretty fun. Like, and so that's why people like it. The game I want to see, a company make is a proper, polished survival game. Not like a Rust, not like what H1Z1 was, not like DayZ. A proper survival game where it's like, this is just damn close to real, and have a bit of, and you have a bit of like, even if it was, it feels like, I know there's like been so many people trying to attempt to make the perfect survival game, like Metal Gear Survive.
It sounds like what you want is like a real life simulator, but that would be boring as fuck.
No, you want it to be, you want it to sort of like have its fancy
I want it to be realistic. You get bored
you want it to have its fancy. You want it to have its fantasy aspect.
Are you saying you want
a really proper
Battle Royale survival?
No, Battle Royale, no Battle Royale.
He wants the Matrix. He wants the Matrix.
No, I don't. I want
just like a sort of intercontinental game of hide and go seek.
I will mute you if you don't let me speak, right? Because I didn't finish my point. Right. So I want to like how everyone was really excited when H1 came out because it was sort of like it wasn't as serious as DayZ was trying to make itself making itself out to be, but it was just so it's almost like we had a vision of what could be, but then never was because they had a lot of studio problems as well. Sort of like Scum's like, I thought Scum was more of a Battle Royale game. There's loads of survival games out there, but they're all so samey. But I really want one to sort of properly get me in, and I don't know if it's ever going to happen anymore because I feel like every company's just ruined it. Ruined their opportunity. Things like Scum, things like Miscreate, things like H1, Escape from Tarkov. They've not sort of brought people in. I'd say even Rust is like, people say that Rust is all like, oh, it's a really fun game, but you've got to have like a group of mates that you make it fun with. I want to go in by myself and then sort of have that a proper escapism. It's kind of like, I'd even say that Minecraft still holds up well for that very reason. Even it's literally a bunch of blocks, like, and it's a kids game, but it's a good game. It's still a really good game. It's ridiculously how I think that idea still holds up in this day. And I don't mind if it's a kid game now.
Open world wandering simulator. I've never really seen the point of those, to be honest.
It sounds really fun.
But people have the different sort of experiences, like what they think about having a game. So
I'm like naturally quite a creative, artistic person, and I never liked Minecraft because it felt too much like work. And if I'm going to enact exactly,
it feels like a job.
Yeah, no, exactly. If I'm going to express a form of creativity that takes the amount of effort that makes it feel like I am doing work, I will just open up FL Studio.
Right. Okay.
But there's no point in it for me. Like if I want to play a game, I will play a tight-knit, specifically crafted experience that the developer has constructed in order to give me their vision of fun. My vision of fun is not like staring at the inside of a mine for 5 minutes solid as I hold down left click and collect, or to construct some item that I had to look up on the fucking wiki page because there are no...
Yeah, but you learn them all anyway.
Like, it's stupid. Yeah, but do you know what else I have to learn? Do you know what else I have to learn?
Guest.
Sorry. One moment, please.
Guest.
Dinner.
Right, I did warn him as well to sort of hide his camera this time. So anyway, we had a special guest last time. And now we had another special guest today. It's just you, Will, at the moment.
The problem is, it's like if you have a survival game that's too realistic, it just becomes so unbelievably dull. You have to strike like a happy middle ground, and they always require friends to do it because it's just not great alone.
We've lost shit on. Oh, it's back. It's back.
Discord crashed for me. Sorry, guys.
No, it's alright.
It's my dinner. My dinner's ready at the moment. I'm not going to go and get it though. I'm going to have it after the podcast finishes. Sorry.
Alright, if you're sure. I wanted to get to the poll. We went on a big sidetrack, so that's something I need to learn is to dictate what happens in this episode in the episodes. But honestly, we've had a good conversation there, so I appreciate it.
We got quite a lot of viewers today, actually, as well.
We have, and shout out to everyone who is tuning in for the podcast today. Of course, all of the previous ones are on YouTube for people's enjoyment whenever they feel like they're
on YouTube.
They are on YouTube. Yes, they're all on YouTube. Reddit.
YouTube to MP3, that shit.
That's a viewing pleasure.
Why are they not on SoundCloud? We want an audio-only version on SoundCloud so I can listen on the way to work.
We might have to.
Well, not so I can listen on the way to work.
No, I mean, yeah, it's a good. I think I wanted to find a good way of doing.
I'm on it, and I know what was said, but
I do want to make it the best way to sort of podcastify it. I know I call it a podcast anyway, but it's like a streaming podcast. It's sort
you can probably stick it on Spotify, right? That's probably pretty simple.
I'm enjoying it.
Well, I think you have to pay for a license to then start uploading stuff to Spotify, don't you? I think it's like $100. So
Craig used to do it, right? How much does it cost?
What, Spotify? Oh no, I didn't do Spotify in the sense that uploading podcasts directly to the service. It was more just like I would send music off to a distributor, pay them a one-time fee to syndicate it to all of the digital stores. But that's like music licensing. That's a completely different thing to publishing a podcast. So I can't help you there, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Fair. Depends. I'm gonna see because I'm playing. I've been having like some I've had some music in the background this entire time, so we'll have to see if we were gonna podcastify it, we couldn't really have. I've got music on that's not gonna get muted on the VODs after.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good for like if I can put it on. I'll put it on YouTube. Podbean. I'll have to do some investigating.
License free. You got like the endless Monster Cat playlist playing or something?
Yeah, I've got a Monster Cat. I've got like a sort of share like Monster Cat license. So because of their partnerships with Twitch, if I give them like, I think it's I'm on a sort of shared license at the moment. Where I'm paying £2 a month to then have like all of the Monster Cat music.
Yeah, they're the default playlist on...
I'm going to have to pause you there because we've just had Whack-Raw's subscription from Twitch Prime.
Thank you,
So we got a big new.
Let's get some love in the chat for Whack-Raw. A generous benefit.
Well done. You now have access to the best emote on Twitch, of course.
Musudo!
And you can grow your penguin, of course. 12 months will get you a full sparkly penguin. You start out as an egg boy. Not a patronising clap. Well, you're not subbed. You gave one bit one time, and you think that's okay. So
it is a patronising clap, depending on what you mean by patron.
Patron. Oh, right. So we got a choice of two things to talk about here. Do you want to talk about the poll, or do you want me to talk about the other sort of topic that I was going to go on about? Because
first one, then the other.
There's one about the poll and one about the sort of, let's call it the sellout So
it's cool to sell out though now, isn't it? Like Ricegum's still popular, and
right.
Like,
we'll go down that route. We'll go down that route. So let me give you a little bit of a backstory here. So we'll go back to the poll later on. I'll give you a bit of a backstory for this one, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen, if you do follow me on Twitter, I did comment on this. Basically, there's a streamer who has had a little video that got shared out across the world. It was from Keemstar. He shared it out, and it was basically about this girl who said on her stream, if you're just watching as free entertainment, if you're watching a stream as free entertainment, you're not actually giving them any money for their content. She said she classed that as leeching. She classed that as being a leech to someone's channel.
That's rubbish.
And she's saying stuff like, how do you think you can watch all this free content? It's because people are paying for the content they want to watch. And if you're watching this content for free, you are a leech. So and this thing just erupted all over Twitter, just thinking, how dare this girl say that kind of thing? It's like
this fucking entitled thought.
And then it's like, oh, this girl runs her mouth a lot. And basically another clip out came later on that said, she tried to explain herself, saying that it was taken out of context and all this stuff. But of course, obviously people did go to a defense. But the thing is, you can't say that. They can't say those kind of things in the climate that's on Twitch, especially if it's a girl who says it, because you know that the biggest population on Twitch is males, right. And if you say that if a girl says that on stream, all of the males are going to go, right, well, this is the biggest example of why girls get so much hate on Twitch, and you're saying that we should try and defend this? No, we can't. If we can't defend this.
So my first question is she a content streamer, or is she like an app?
I didn't actually go into. I think she's just like goes here. I think she just goes across different. So she's like a variety streamer, but I think the main reason why people watch her is because she does all this like running her mouth, sort of goes on a big like rant about things. But saying that
she's an etiquette basically, then
like there was cases
I guess tries to be
and stuff, wasn't there? It's like that's a big thing, though, isn't it?
No,
there is a market for that.
But you can't.
The whole stream is based around creating controversies. And
but you can't. It's
definitely
people will go on the attack if a girl says something like that on stream where they're already in such a for want of a better word, in a controversial situation where a lot of people on Twitch think that girls are only where they are is because of what they are like on the stream. But you can't. Obviously, not every single girl streamer is like that. And actually determining if this thing was true or not, it's up to people's opinion and deduction. That sort of. But you've got to sort of go off that clip and say this is the wrong thing to say. This is the wrong thing to say, and especially when people come on here and give their time where they could be doing something else. People come and give their time to watch things. This is time that people don't get back. People are giving up their time to watch.
They don't care about the platform. They're in it for like an immediate gain.
Yeah. Time. It's like it's people's free time that they don't get back to watch people. And you call people out for for not supporting with money. That's just a big no-no for people. It doesn't matter what else you try to say to sort of defend it. It's like it's literally, I'm not being offensive, but sort of it's that kind of thing. So it's a very bad thing to say.
As a full-time working adult whose free time is now extremely budgeted, we'll say, it should be considered an honour that someone would spend their time on watching you. And for you to be the focus of their now rare and valuable attention in their downtime should be considered a compliment enough on its own. And if they're spending money on you as well, really the money that they have earned is from the hours that they have spent at work. So it's like spending more time, effectively.
Yeah, I also just call out any of these viewers for not getting enough money. I don't call you out. I don't go on Twitter with a big explanation going, why aren't these people giving me money when I'm putting out this 10 out of 10 content? Because I'm not going to say that. You know I wouldn't say that. You know I wouldn't say that.
No, I think it's just like
that.
a horribly entitled attitude, and like in a lot of ways, yes, we are part of a generation that has come to expect free media from the internet, and if we are not given it for free through legitimate means, we will find a way to take it, or rather, like, there's no point in charging excessive amounts because it just drives people to piracy kind of thing. But we have this amazing infinite form of media that you can't really pirate because it's offered to you for free anyway, where like there's a true meritocracy that isn't necessarily based on the incomes of the people who support it, and that's the amazing thing about the view counter, is that it's this great equalizer, which I'm not necessarily fanatical about, but at the same time every view means the same.
Right. But there isn't like the argument that piracy actually increases revenue though, because people then get to try out stuff before they put money into it, or like they'll support it because they enjoy it.
This isn't really a conversation about piracy anyway.
No, it's not.
Like,
this is more. This is more for like saying it's like all the stuff you see on Twitch and YouTube, and it's all free content. Even like Facebook streams as well, which is a mix of it. They're all free entertainment platforms, and you can't say that and you can't just say that, because I don't think it doesn't matter if it was taken out. I don't think it matters that it was taken out of context if it was taken out of context, because you just can't say it because of the
political climate, basically.
Yeah, and people are sort of complaining that there's such there's this quick hate mob that'll gather on social media. But the sad thing is, you're not going to get rid of that. You're not going to get rid of that culture. As soon as something pops up that people are going to apparently,
if you will play the platform for artificial controversy in order to get make some quick headlines and all the rest of it, then frankly you deserve the negative attention as well as the.
So I think
sticking your head above the parapet, like fame is a double-edged sword, right? In order to be seen by millions of people all over the world and make hundreds of millions of dollars out of movies and albums and all the rest of it, and in order for your face to be famous enough to sell copies such that it's recognizable on the street, the ball and chain that is unfortunately attached to that, the compromise that you have on your quality of life, is the paparazzi, say. But in the modern age of kind of social media, where maybe it's only a few hundred people who know you and they're all on the other end of an internet connection, they're not actually buying your products, the ball and chain is the fact that the internet remembers forever, and people are very much entitled to dislike the things that you say as much as like them. Like, people complain on a lot of websites that there's no dislike button, but let me tell you what a dislike button is. A dislike button is somebody tweets or replies to some stupid thing that you've said with like a effing kill yourself or something like that. Like that's your dislike.
That's an extreme case. That's not like that's
or like get a life, you ungrateful sap. Basically, that.
I mean, that's an interesting way of putting it, but I think Ill Intelligence knows who I'm on about. I'm guessing he must have seen it on Twitter what happened, and I did send a message to someone who was in defence, like saying, well, let's sort of question it. Let's say, well, why say it in the first place? I think it's such a very bad thing to say. I think it's definitely not something where it's definitely not right to say to people on who spend their free time watching your streams, to say that they're sort of they're a leech, that they're
but can't you block those people anyway with like the subscriber only chat?
Yeah,
you can essentially force them into paying, or like get back at them anyway through that.
That's what Total Biscuit channels. So
the video is there,
but that was more to stop people from abusing it. So it's whatever.
So the video is there in my chat if you do want to sort of have a bit of context behind it.
Yeah, I just want to see it.
So, and apparently this was taken out of context because then she said some other things after. But to me, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's quite a very. Even if it's meant, I can't see it being even said as a joke, but the fact that you say that on Twitch in the way that Twitch works, it's just...
She sounds like a real bitch, this girl. Like it's just like the voice, the tone of voice. Like, oh my god, Becky, did you see what Rachel posted on Twitter last night? Like, oh my fucking god, she's such a bitch. Like that. She's such a bitch.
You should do some voice acting.
Yeah, I could be like a sort of weird cartoon transgender version of Mary Kate and Ashley, I suppose.
Yeah, stop. You've had some call outs here.
Did the fucking girls called Bad Bunny? She sounds like she should be on like a campsite or something.
Like a cover of
Okay,
Playboy.
alright. So that's another extreme
She
case.
is on a campsite. She is on a campsite, Will. It's called Twitch.
It's called. Right, let's not that. No. I'm ending it. We're done. Anyway, that was in conclusion.
Let's be real.
To all people who might be thinking of who just don't hate the viewer. Don't hate on the viewers in any way, shape, or form. Don't do it. Well, as a joke in the right context, yes. In this situation where I sort of say things, yes, I think that's absolutely perfectly fine. But in what she did, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Absolutely not. So I'm gonna move on before we delve into the lives of our guests here. We are going to sort of touch upon the poll, which is a new improvement, ladies and gentlemen. Which is a new improvement to the stream.
Actual customer feedback.
We did it. We did a poll. We put a question out. We gave it a couple of days to see what was happening. We had 13 answers, so thank you very much to those who did answer. We had a bit of fan interaction, yes. So I gave this question. So I'm not going to tell you the result of it. I'm not going to tell you two what the result was and I want to hear what your opinions are before I announce the result. So the question was, if you could show a child a video game for the first time, you're going to show them what is the best video game. What would you show them? Would you show them something from today? So let's say in the last couple. Let's say in the last couple of years for that. Or would you show them something from 20 years ago, something from the first generation of console that you grew up with? So we'll start with Shinon's done a lot of talking recently. We'll go start with Will for this one. So Will, let's hear what you think about that. So what would you go for?
You have to go for like an old game. If it is 20 years ago and you're showing them a game, I don't see any reason that you showed them a new one. Because like it diminishes like their excitement for the future of like the games and like what the next like advancements and stuff will be.
I think I had that kind of thought as well, where you've almost got to show the evolution of how it got to this point.
But also like nowadays it's like all the whole thing is just covered with multiplayer only and a free to play. And there was like a lot of pay to win and like a lot of loot boxes still going on now as well, but there was a bit in there. And it's like someone from 20 years ago ain't going to be able to play that shit anyway. But like, what recent games are you going to show them that would like blow their minds?
Like you couldn't do back
in like a.
So what I'm guessing you're probably going to say in your top 5 what kind of game you would maybe show a child if it was from 20 years ago. I'm going to say I don't know, but maybe
Wii Sports Resort, baby.
Right, okay, so you've gone for Wii Sports Resort, okay. But kids think adults are boring and that all things suck and they won't care. Hell
Wii
yeah.
motion control streaming. Will, your channel has got to be your new alias has got to be SMC.
I like Will Motions.
Shitty motion control.
Will Motions could be a good name.
Only ever stream Wii games.
Smashing Mind, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. Just to remind, so we're asking the question: if you show a child a video game for the first time, would you show them something from today or from 20 years ago? Will Storms has decided that they would go down the.
But don't you take that out of context? That was
no. You said you were going down the I didn't say what. I didn't say that you would go down the retro route. He would
specifically. I'm going to break up.
He would go down the retro route to show what games we're like, and they're proper games. They're proper games, not like the nonsense we've got today.
Like I think at most you'd show them like maybe the next generation. Like you showed them like a little hint, but nothing further.
So what was interesting is someone said, well, it's kind of like music. It's like if parents showed what what their music taste was in the past, you'd be like, well, no, this is just like completely oldie and like and.
No, but it's like you're showing someone from like 20 years ago, aren't you?
That's like true. It's like without tutorial.
Like,
okay. So here's a funny story. Like young teenagers, because we're only in our early 20s, right? Young teenagers are actually quite closely attuned to the same things that we were into when we were children as well. Like, not in the great span of things, not a lot of time in a cultural sense has really shifted since then. So, like, here's a story for you. I went to my younger sister's school concert last summer, and somebody on the piano played the menu theme from Halo 3.
Ooh!
And this like 13-year-old kid was playing it on the piano, and it was like a mediocre, like a okay rendition of it. Right? It was clearly too advanced for his kind of playing level. But yeah, no, he was playing it on the piano, and he happens to be like really good friends with my sister. So I said to him afterwards, like, like that game was new when I was in year 7, right? Like when I was, just going into secondary school. Like that is when that game came out. I am now 23. Well, I was 22 at the time. I was 23, and I'm working and in full time. It's like that's how quickly people grow up. But maybe in terms of like the big cultural paradigm shifts, especially in terms of like video games nowadays, that the progression of technology is not so much slower as it is less obvious. Halo 3 still passes as relatively current gen. Like, the only thing you can't do in it is run, basically. It's like, what major advancements to single-player campaign-based first-person shooters with multiplayer backends have been made since that time? Not that many, considering that everybody.
There are so many games there's so many games you could show a kid, though. I guess that's why I'm trying to. So what would you go for then, without saying what game you would show them? Because I'm guessing it would probably be like your favourite game that you would show them. What would you show? Would you go down the retro route, or would you go for something in the modern day, do you reckon?
Me personally, I don't know. Actually, it's a difficult question, because
it got people thinking, surprisingly. There
are loads of different angles that you that you could take on this, and lots of different reasons for it as well. Like, if you want a child to be interested in video games, you want the video game that they play first to be the most intuitive experience. Or do you want it to be unrealistic and kind of to prioritize fun, or do you want to prioritize realism? Because
that changes with the generation. Because like if we're talking about like,
it changes with the person as well.
If you look at games from 20 years ago, it's not many of those were like simulators. All of those were like cartoon, not real.
They were sort of like exaggerated, arcadey, almost surreal experiences. But now, like, a lot of the controls and the kind of physicality of the world is a lot more kind of grounded in reality rather than heavily artistically stylized out of necessity. And some games, like, in comparison, some older games, in comparison to how current generation games control, they play really, really badly, especially like early 3D games. The early Resident Evil games are crap. Like,
ooh, that's a lot of childhood hate.
But they're like clunky tank controls. Seriously, when was the last time you played a 3D game of any kind that had tank controls?
Sonic Adventure.
No, Sonic Adventure doesn't have tank controls.
Oh, wait, the robot when you play as.
No,
Sonic Adventure 2 when you play as. When you play as a robot.
There's forwards and backwards for 3D movement. Like,
for 3D movement, you can run forwards and go backwards, but then left and right is turn left and right.
What was that crocodile?
Oh, like Tomb Raider. Oh, Croc. Yeah, right.
So Croc has a weird kind of compromise between the two. So if you use the D-pad, it's generally tank controls, unless you press forward and left and tilt at the same time. So it's almost like if you're flying a plane, you have pitch, roll, and yaw that you use to control the different angles and variables of movement. And yaw would be like turning the plane left and right like that. Pitch is up and down, and roll is sort of like tilting on a kind of center axis. And Yeah, so it's almost like you kind of lean to the left when you go forward and left, or forward and right, or whatever. But like the free 360-degree movement control, where you just like go in the direction that the joystick is pointing relative to the camera, is something that Rayman 2, Sonic Adventure, and all those kind of early 3D platformers kind of had down pretty well. But if you go for something like if you go for something like Jumping Flash, or one of the really early 3D platformers, it's not like that. So you obviously, like, as a representation of the way in which gaming has progressed and the trends that stuck around, because you want to do two things. You want to show the person a good time, but you also want to show them, like, set up a narrative of recurring patterns that appeared again and again over years and years of iterations in video games that worked consistently, so that they get a decent view for what actually made the games fun to play. And if they feel like, this particular part of the control scheme has come up across multiple years without really evolving or changing at all, it's like, right, this is an element of games that is like core to the success of the medium and that has aged well, and only by like setting up the view of a pattern, or maybe like a sense of like time linearity is needed in that, so you would go for the retro game first and then show them the progression. I don't know, it's less so much like what is the first game you'd show them, like,
so you're going for retro then.
What is the pattern you would show them amongst a succession of games? So it's more about like the order and the story, rather than this is one fixed moment in time and this was gaming here. So basically you couldn't show them Sonic Adventure.
It's like, it depends how far back you go though as well. Like, if it's
I did say 20 years. I did so.
I completely skipped around, but if you went back 20 years, you just show them like the PS2 or something.
So 1999.
So it's like,
which I think
PS2 was like 1999, 2000, wasn't it?
It was 2000. Yeah, it came out in 2000.
So it's like,
let's have a look.
Them, like, what's about to come.
What what I would show them if I were to go back in time and to show kids like the definitive moment that retro gaming stopped becoming retro gaming as it was classic. There's like a classical era of arcade style retro gaming, right, where it was perfectly acceptable to have 3 courses in a full console release racing game, or that kind of like Sega, Capcom, Namco kind of arcade action era, which I think was like before 2001. And the games in 2001 that redefined that were Grand Theft Auto 3 and the original Halo. So if I were to pick a moment at which gaming changed from the classical kind of retro paradigm to resembling more like what it is now, with sort of like online first-person shooter and open-world sandbox, realistic, gritty action, and like the interplay between like the modern sci-fi, techno-future sci-fi kind of style that has made a resurgence as well, was popularized with Halo as well. So like Halo and Grand Theft Auto 3 would be the 2 games that I would show specifically.
So that's another 2.
Illustrate.
You wouldn't show
it's slightly off question. I know it's sort of. It's so you're not. I guess it's kind of. I don't know whether you'd count that now as.
I don't think you'd do Halo.
I would.
Because if you think about, like, you probably want to show them, like, not like a PC that they've got a deck out. You'd want it to be like the console release, so they can like.
So it's like let's give kids GTA.
All
right, yeah.
For the original
We're not. We weren't sort of. We weren't sort of picking games.
Is just so we
weren't sort of picking a specific game. I'm trying to get it to sort of like, would you show a kid like? Sort of as a collective whole, would you show them like the first Mario? Would you show them the first Crash? Would you show them like the first or you would show them Croc? Would you show them like
I wouldn't show Croc.
Tomb Raider? No, things like that.
Not Tomb Raider either. Tomb Raider has tank controls. Tomb Raider is a really good example of tank controls. Yeah, and it's clunky.
So
as
6th
fuck
generation era
does
easily.
not play well anymore.
So
yeah, 5th. I would say like. If you want 2D games, 4th to 5th generation. If you want 3D games, 5th to 6th generation.
So that's just not that's so so that yeah. So 6th generation is to go for it. I sort of wouldn't class that. I wouldn't class that as being retro yet.
I'd say it is.
Really? I'm not sure.
The thing is, you're hesitant to call it retro because it's like what you grew up with. You've got to think.
I'm almost willing to call PlayStation 1. I've even considered PlayStation 1 as being retro.
So maybe, I don't know. Yeah, no, the PS1 is retro. The PS1 is definitely retro. There's no question about that.
I agree with the
and that's after 20 years. So that's why it works. And then like with 6th gen, PlayStation 2. So
that's 2 generations ago now. Like we're talking about like consoles that were superseded in 2005. In 2005, think about it. It was a long time ago.
It's just not. It's basically. Are you going to show them pre PS2 and Xbox era, or are you going to show them from that point onwards? That's what we're going with.
6th generation. And I honestly, if we're talking about good, I definitely just stick them in front of like the Nintendo console.
What, like, GameCube?
Yeah. If you think about like the games,
so you've changed your mind then.
Easily.
This is why it was so. This is why we literally had. So in 13 votes.
You're talking about the Dreamcast, Will.
So in 13 votes, this was how we've had quite a divided conversation. In 13 votes on Twitter, we had 54% went for present day and 46% went for retro. So it was like one vote in it. So it was.
Why is the majority wrong?
Yeah, but you went for 6th gen. That's like pretty much that's still under 20. That's under 20 years.
Yeah, but if we're going 20 years back, that's basically like it's the 6th gen is. If we went
it's
back
not 20 years yet.
Show them a game, like we would be showing them a console that was going to come out within the next year or two.
I know you got it. It's sort of right. I kind of sort of.
So it's like it has them.
So in the scenario where it's like you've just literally in this scenario where you've just popped a baby out and 3 years later, and then 3 years later they're like, right, how am I going to entertain this kid? I've got to show him a video game, right? And they've never seen a video game before. Do you buy them an Xbox One and say here's Fortnite, or do you go here's a PlayStation 1, here's Crash Bandicoot?
No, I'll tell you what you do. You buy them an Xbox One, but you buy all of the HD remastered classic games.
No, okay. That doesn't help answer the question. No, that doesn't help. No. Right, imagine
the reason why it does answer the question, actually, and why it illustrates my point, is that these are the games that are most likely to be transcendent across eras, and that's what makes them stay relevant. So that
doesn't help answer the question.
I got the question wrong. I thought we were taking something back 20 years to like show a kid from like when we were a kid.
No.
Like, try and get them converted.
I did read the question out.
If it's modern day, you just show them something modern. You show them like.
But it's all garbage now. It's all garbage.
That's what it's
all rubbish.
Diamonds in the rough because there are still good games. Like I think you could easily show them something like Hollow Knight, like Castle Crashers.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying that they're not good games now, but it's like
those kick them up.
You'd be like, all right, here's son, here's a proper game, not go. I know what rubbish is out there right now, and I'm going to show you this.
Modern day, you stick them in front of a Dolphin emulator, and you give them all the fucking Nintendo games from GameCube.
Don't. I think you've just woken Whack-Raw up again. Like, he's been playing on his Dolphin emulator.
Whack-Raw.
Dolphin. Did someone say Fire Emblem?
Dolphin.
Stop bullying me in the chat, please. Dolphin detected.
I just spat all over my fucking microphone.
Oh my god! We can't have him on. Can't have him on as a guest anymore.
You can still hear him when he's put his mic up. It's still the first boy.
I'm not doing the sound effect. No. Right.
You're not doing the sound effect. Oh, you better. Go on, everybody, give me your best in chat.
You've already got one. Is it a BVVT, or do you put some Fs in there?
Or does it start off with an R to kick it off the BR?
No, he's gone for a lot of Vs. as Mr. Whackrow.
Yeah.
Murassi doesn't get it. I think he's got to be a bit educated on this. It's watch part 4. Watch part 4, Jojo, and watch
It's Zahando, isn't it?
Zahando doing a. Watch that.
Do your fucking JoJo pose hand thing.
Well, it's not like that. I don't look like a broken ring. It doesn't look like a broken ring. Oh my arm's
like
broke.
Over 90 degrees. Wasn't it?
No, it was like you do this. You bring your arm, bring your arm around here, and then you bring it like it was like sort of around here, sort of. It was like sort of like this.
Oh.
That was, but hey, I remember did it. I did it at karaoke. Another one where I went another time. I did it again. It was like, wow, that really hurt my wrist. It was like,
oh Jesus. Yeah, fucking pulls your tendons, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's painful.
Right, with a we'll Zahando into the next section. What that's professional transition narrative there. We'll slide on into, I guess, what is the favourite part of the stream for the guests, and we are going to go now into the top 5 games ever, but they have to come from different franchises. Portion of the evening.
Top 5.
Let's get some Rayman Hoverboard music on.
Oh, dude, this is gonna get hyped now.
It is.
You know, that's what you stick in front of kids. If you want to show them a game, you just sit them on the Rayman Hoffman stage, and you just leave it on that.
We're in it!
I remember when games were hard, like Rayman 1. Did anyone ever actually complete Rayman 1? Seriously.
No, I actually have the Rayman. Was it the gold version?
Rayman 1. I might do a Rayman. I might have to do a Rayman 1 stream. A Rayman 1 stream where I prove that it's doable.
It's not.
It is doable. It must have an ending.
It's like the hardest game in the world.
You forget that we've seen you try to get through the fucking like Sonic 1 and 2, and you're like.
I did it. I've not.
Okay.
I've not quit on any Sonic games yet.
If you had,
I've completed all my Sonic games. All the VODs are there. I've completed Getting Over It, the hardest game that was ever made in like the last 5 years. Like,
did you ever make it past Bandland if you had Rayman 1? Be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
That's fine.
We'll do it.
This is like the 3-month stream of Johnny trying to beat.
Alright, when
can we make bets on how long you'll think it'll take you to beat it in terms of like time?
Yeah, I fucking love the music so much. It's great. Bongo Hills. Do you remember like the piece of music that was literally just like a bongo solo? Yeah, the soundtrack of that game was absolutely fantastic. Like, I still listen to it now, even from the levels that I haven't played, which is like literally half of the game.
Bongo Hills.
By the way, you had Rayman Advance on the Game Boy.
I don't think it's Bongo. Is it Bongo Hills?
It doesn't count. It's just called Bongo Hills.
Yeah, it's just called Bongo Hills. It's like
not called Bongo Hills.
I think Whackraw's having some problems with himself.
Bongo land.
I think he's having some moment there. I call Bongo Hills.
I love it. Do you like Will? Do you like Oingo Boingo?
Oh no! It's just a gaming Twitch podcast. It's not.
I have actually been listening.
Oh, this isn't a Wii podcast.
It feels so good.
If we want a Wii podcast, we'll have a Wii special sometime. We'll only talk about anime if you really want. But this is a gaming streaming podcast.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were actually talking about the band Oingo Boingo, but is that like a JoJo?
I think he's on about the...
Yeah, it's a JoJo character, but I have also been listening to the band at work.
Yeah, no, they're really
Oingo
fucking
Boingo
good,
ending.
Danny Elfman's such a clever guy. Anyway, sorry, let's go into
it. Yeah, are you done?
Yeah, I'm absolutely...
Alright, okay.
I'm so done.
Top 5 anime of different genres. Dude, you know if I tell you what my top 5 anime are, everyone's going to go, you're wrong. Like, and everyone probably knows what my top 5 is, to be honest.
Yeah, and they're all wrong.
And they're all wrong. They're all wrong.
Is there a certain anime beginning with G? What's it called? Is it...
No.
You typically find one on the end of a fence in a garden. What's it called?
I'm pretty sure that one of his top 5 makes him feel you
graffiti. That's what you can sometimes find on there. That's what you can sometimes find on garden fences. Konosuba, Gate, Cabaneri, World End, and JoJo. Ooh,
You're missing.
Look at that.
You're missing.
The one that makes
No. That's a whole different list. That's a whole different list, and we're not going to talk about that this evening. That's a whole other story that's only told on a certain street between this View Cinema in Hull and the Spiders nightclub. That is the only time you'll ever hear that list.
You weren't even at the View when you started ranting about it.
No, yeah, we're. Don't lie.
What were you ranting about?
Don't lie. Right, we're not talking. No. Yeah, we're not. Absolutely no way we are in this conversational stream. That's for another time. That's for off stream. Private stream. £25 you can be invited to a secret chat. We'll do a secret podcast. We'll move on now to the actual proper segment of the stream. No, it's not a cam show. So we are going to talk now about our top 5 games, but they have to be from different franchises, and it's 4. We're gonna do try to do them both at the same time, because I know when we started doing this, Shinon didn't tell us what his top 5 were, but I kind of think I remember what they are. But I think just so everyone else knows in the chat, we are going to show his as well.
I actually can't remember where the fuck I posted mine on your server, and I still haven't saved them.
No, it's okay. I've got yours here, Craig. It was Wii Sports Resort, Wii Party, Wii Music, WarioWare Smooth Moves, and Dr. Kurosaki's Brain Age.
Right, okay. So that's Shinon's list.
No.
That's Shinon's list. Which is interesting choices there.
There you go. I found it.
Oh, that's not what I want.
I'm just gonna quickly save this actually, just so that I don't have to keep on doing like a custom search on your server every time I want my own fucking game top 10 list. Right, here we go.
Properties. Right. So
I'm prepped now.
Let's set this outline off. Let's just put this outline off to 2. So I should have prepared this
Excellent
next
stuff.
bit.
All the logistics ready?
They will be.
Fantastic.
I'm gonna move this down here. So
we'll just have to entertain the chat in the meantime.
No, I'm ready. I am ready.
Okay.
Right. So
to be fair, Mario Kart Wii is like.
So I've got your 5 here. I've got yours there, and then let me just rename this so I know what I'm doing. I've got a question though. Why do you have this vendetta against against motion controls?
Me?
Yeah.
Specifically? Because they're inherently approximate and not precise enough, right? They're kind of like based on the console's like approximation or interpretation of a gesture rather than actually making contact with a physical tactile button press. You don't get any real feedback from it. So do you remember you saw me do it?
No, you'll have to remind us about that. I think for those in the chat that don't know about you saw me do it. Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, you stop it.
Stop it.
You're fucking dying. You're gonna start drinking.
I swear.
No, but like
I'll get Baljeet in the room.
Okay, you're fucking minimized. I can't see you anymore, but I'm still imagining it. Okay, so you saw me do it with Will and Johnny and all the others were around Will's house one time. We were around Kim Jong-Will's house, and we were playing on his Wii, and we were playing WarioWare Smooth Moves. And there is a game in WarioWare Smooth Moves in which you have to pick up the dice when it lands on the right face, right? And it landed on the 6, and you're supposed to grab the Wii remote up off the ground and like fling it into the air, right? So I grab it up off the ground. It didn't detect it, and they like literally the entire room witnessed me the Wii remote off the ground and up into the air. in a very literal.
He just
very real
he just
sense.
lost at WarioWare, and it's like, you saw me pick up this dice, and you saw I went like this.
Like apparently, and I was like, I have done this.
Picked it up.
It didn't register. And I was like, you saw me do it. I was so livid. I was angry at the time. I didn't fucking lose.
I was livid. I went to counselling.
You were even there.
I went to counselling.
No one saw you do it. No one
No
one saw you do it.
I think I must have hallucinated doing it in that case retroactively. Apparently they did not see me do it.
Didn't you follow it out by like slamming my Wii
Sorry,
onto
I
the
could do it
ground
all
so
day,
the
but we don't.
batteries exploded out?
You can do it all day, but I don't know what you're doing.
Actually, and then the batteries burst out, and then you body slammed me onto your bed.
Right, no, that's another story. No, that's another story.
If you actually remember that night.
No, that's another story.
You won't because you were drunk.
No, that's another story. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about what happened after WarioWare on stream. Stop. Just stop.
Okay, yeah, no, we're stopping now.
Let's...
Basically, no. So motion controls kind of.
No, you've just had your say about motion controls.
No.
Yeah,
it's not just that, right? So if like, let me get a controller up here. If you press.
Other
controllers
controllers are available.
It makes contact with the circuit there.
Oh yeah.
You know that you have.
Yeah, everyone get your controllers out. Everyone have a controller nearby.
My Wii remote's downstairs.
If you know for a fact and you have tactile feedback that tells you that you've pressed the button at the right time in the game.
Show me on the controller where she touched.
Then
touch me here.
The skills and sort of reflexive actions that you need to get good at that game, right? If you do this with a Wii remote and the console's like, well, I suppose
you did it
slightly diagonally. You know, there's no like precision to it. There's no feedback. It all feels very abstracted and averaged and imprecise. And I don't like that. I don't like that.
Yeah, but like in terms of that,
I have three different controllers.
But like in terms of like as an aiming device, it's like one of the best ones for a console.
I have this. Oh,
yeah, but
because it has so much more precision than
with a high threshold to set, unfortunately. Like analog,
the Wii's not a bad console.
Thumbsticks.
That's blasphemy. The Wii is a great console. The Wii's a good console. I think the Wii was very, very good.
No, okay, so come on, you had it set up properly in your room, Will, and even if you're just like holding your arm completely still, pointing it at the screen, you still get that weird kind of like jitter where the pointer's like going.
Yeah, because your hand moves.
PlayStation Move or the iToy.
Not like that.
Not like.
But it's no, fucking hell. If my hand moved around like the Wii pointer does, I would have fucking like cerebral palsy or something.
No, you can't say that. Stop. Use better explanations.
Stick your dildo down.
He's got Harry Potter 1 control. I've got this control, and I've got this control, and I've got this control. I got like this control.
The only controller.
Loads of controllers.
The best controller in the world, the Xbox One controller. And
well, I think you find that this is probably one of the
wrong.
best. This is why a good controller as well. So.
Like literally, fucking gyroscope tilt sensors are better than the Wii remotes.
I think I like the Xbox. The Xbox One controller is actually pretty nice.
The other problem, of course, with
I think Xbox controllers are the best. Without doubt, the best controllers.
Any form of control that requires a lot of sort of bodily movement is it grounds you more in the physical space of your bedroom than it does within the kind of imagined space of the game. So if you're literally sitting there in full deep concentration and literally are only moving your like the real life components of yourself that are moving are only just your fingertips and you're just concentrating enough to grip the control pad, but most of your mind is within the game. If you're flailing your arms around or swinging a remote, you're like, am I accidentally going to hit my light? No, but
it says that in the warnings that you can't be near things. It says that.
Not tied onto my hand properly. I'm thinking about all of these like periphery things that are outside of the game, and it breaks the immersion for me.
What? It says at the beginning of the game that you got to have enough space. Nintendo have done their job. You do your job too.
And what? Like,
You can only do so much. Nintendo can only do so much. They can't come in and feng shui your bedroom to make sure you can play Frisbee properly. Right. Yes. This is a public service announcement, and I must, and as you know, hashtag Mussy is wise, and that is an actual trend. That is an actual hashtag on Twitter. We're going to move on to the actual. Yes, we'll talk about the games now, so that's what people have come for. Obviously, they want to see if they have some common interests with our guests. Yeah. How different. Let's say how different childhoods each guest has had. Maybe there's something they're common and they don't know. Maybe they've had this conversation before. I don't know. So we're going to move on to. We're going to do this. Hopefully, we can sort of do this at the same time. Keep the little explanations, and we'll sort of explain how you came to your decision on your game. We'll start off with our new guest, Will Storms, at number 5. What is your number 5 top game?
Honestly, this is probably wrong considering.
Wrong. You can't be wrong. You made your own list.
Because it was between 2 different games. It was between Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Mario Kart Wii, in terms of for the number 5 spot.
So what are you picking?
I really love kart races. 2 are
That's true. I have that common interest as well.
Except there is one bad one. The Sonic and Sega All Stars. That's the bad one. That's the one that I haven't even bothered to try and complete. I hate that game. Passion.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, so I was going to go with Wii because that's probably the one I spent the most time with. But
we're going for Mario Kart Wii.
The 5 spot, Star Wars Battlefront 2 takes it.
Okay. So I think
I played until the servers went down, and then even now they're back up. The problem is that they're all based in America, so the ping's just absolute dog shit. So it's near unplayable.
Oh, he said even Amtech is taking that bait.
Dude.
Oh, I'm gonna make that slightly bigger.
Mario Kart Wii is an objectively great game, and it's it still actually has a community now, which I should probably try and get into, to be fair. Because there's still a bunch of people that play it online all the time, and there's streamers that do it. Double Dash is great. Dude, the final kart though in Double Dash is just a complete joke.
Is it totally broken or just?
No, it's the you have to do the mirror mode all. Every single track, so it's the all cup mode.
Ooh.
And it's I actually created an Excel sheet when I was playing it because
there are only 15 or 16 courses on Double Dash, aren't there? Right?
Yeah, but it's I actually made an Excel sheet because I was trying to complete it about 2 years ago and get everything unlocked. And I think after about my 5th attempt, I just gave up. It just takes 2 courses for you to get the unlucky blue shell, and then it's you can't get first.
Yeah, no, it's
and it's and then you have to restart it and do all the 16 races again.
I think that's one of the things I hate most about Mario Kart is the item system, and
It's perfectly fine. No, we've had this conversation before about
the way that
how
the blue shells only punish the person in first, and they are generally only activated by the person in sixth.
You can still be
doesn't
skillful.
benefit the person in sixth to fire an item against the person in first.
The reason why people get in first is because they're good at the game, and that's it's as simple as that.
No, it's because they wait until the last lap to get into first, so they spend as little time as possible, subject to RNG.
No, you can't. Nah. You don't play a kart racer for 2 laps in second and then get it.
The blue shell is necessary because it stops one person getting ridiculously far ahead, and it's the point.
You can get ridiculously far ahead. All kart racers have. You can get ridiculously far ahead,
but it's it brings you a bit back. So it's there's always that punishment there.
Yeah, you're punished for doing well, which is ridiculous. It's if I want to be punished
I think it's perfectly fine.
It's not legitimate difficulty. It's just random insta kill. Oh, sorry, you got a blue shell. Now you've got to waste your time, your valuable, scarce free time playing through all of these courses that you know that you can do well, and under normal sort of the gameplay mechanics, you know that you can drive that course perfectly every time. It's RNG decided to give me a blue shell.
There's no fun if you just sit there ahead of the entire
There's no fun if you just use your skill to win the game like every other fucking game, rather than it arbitrarily.
That's the point of kart racing. Look, you'll have it in Forza.
If you want to play a serious racing game, I think you stick away from kart races.
You wouldn't play kart racing.
No. It's not a binary fucking choice between cartoony item RNG troll lol kart racer and Assetto Corsa. It's they're not. you know, two sides of a coin. There's like a scale between them, and there are much better arcade races, even kart ones, than a lot of the Mario Kart games.
See, the thing is that the ones that are more balanced, are the ones that I just have so much less fun on.
Yeah.
It's fun just to get thrown.
Well, maybe
into
that's
the back
because
and,
you
have to battle your way
suck.
out. And stuff.
I don't know.
No, it's fun to be in the lead and then get thrown back, and then you've got to battle your way back to first.
No,
and,
no, it's not. It's just frustrating. It's just why did
It's not frustrating. It's part of the game. If you were that unhappy about it, you just wouldn't play.
If you're
bad for a game,
you're saying
don't like
skill,
Mario
but if you're
Kart.
genuinely good at the game,
you know how stressed out I get when I play Mario Kart.
You get stressed out playing every game, especially WarioWare, when the controls don't work.
Yeah, well, exactly. Oh, at least you admit that they didn't work.
Well,
no, I didn't see you do it.
Fine.
I didn't see you do it, so I don't know.
But it's
I was looking the other way.
If you're actually good at the game, you're saying it punishes skill, but if you're actually good at Mario Kart, the blue shell doesn't impact you at all.
I think I put Mario Kart DS in my top 10 actually. That I think definitely.
The other stupid thing, of course, is that not all of the gameplay mechanics are explained. When is it ever actually taught to you in-game how to get the boost at the start line?
You learn it. You go learn it in the single player.
How do you learn it? Where are you taught in the game? Where does it show you that?
Well, it tells you. I know for a fact it tells you in Crash Team Racing. It tells you how to do it.
No, we're not talking about Crash Team Racing. We're talking about Mario. Where does it teach you in Mario Kart? Crash Team Racing, I have no problem with. Actually, I've never played it. Could be the best game in the world.
It is the best game in the world.
Well, exactly.
I do just like the drifting mechanic in that, though, with the boost thing, where it's you've got to keep tapping X as you go around the corner.
No, the Crash Team Racing drifting is perfectly fine. I think that's one of the best drifting things. One of the best drifting.
Putting my hands up here and saying in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform it tells you on the loading screens. So, you know.
My God, Sega's done it.
Oh, Mario Kart DS. Yeah, I'm gonna say. I'm pretty sure Mario Kart DS does because it tells you that it's the wiggling of the left and right to do it. I think it's left and right on D-pad.
No, that's not the boost around corners. That's the boost from the start line.
No. I swear it's round. It's not round corners on Mario Kart DS where you do it with the. I swear you do it with left and right.
Yeah, round corners is left, right, left, right. That's
because it has snaking in it.
Yeah.
But
when you start the level, the boost off the start line, it's like a specific pattern of pressing it.
No, it's not. You just hold it down at a certain point.
All it is in Mario Kart is all you do in Mario Kart is you hold a button and as you're going around the corner, whatever
it literally comes out for every single game.
Whatever comes out the back is depending on how much speed you get off the end of it. It's not. It's not. I don't think it's too difficult of a mechanic for people to have a necessary tutorial for it. I guess
boosting off the start line.
It's
not self-explanatory. It's you're supposed to hold down the as the number 2 fades out on screen. It's that's fucking arcane. It's stupid.
Yeah, but you just see everyone else do it, and then you'll be like, well, how do I do it? You'll investigate, and you find
find that
out.
You get further in the game, against the higher CCs, you see other characters do it, so you know then it's a thing, and then you figure out how to do it.
The only,
you can literally, when it counts down, you can hear them start to accelerate, so you know what you've got to do.
Well, you can see there's an animation for it in Mario Kart Double Dash, right? Which is the player on the back of the kart will run in place and charge up steam while you're holding A, and you can probably see when the other karts are doing it and get a rough feel for it, I suppose. But I don't know. It always felt really obtuse to me. So.
Right, we're gonna keep this going as well because we'll be here all night talking about why Mario Kart is a very good racing game.
So let's go.
Let's go on to Shinon's 5th. We'll do it in
right. We are alternating in that case. My 5th place game is an old Dreamcast game. No surprises there. Called Jet Set Radio, and Jet Set Radio was developed by Sega in 2000. It's actually one of the first. Yeah, it's one of the first games ever to have cell shaded, anime style cell shaded graphics. And I can show you. Actually, I have the.
Get your game out. Ooh, there we go. Exactly. Will, did you have Star Wars Battlefront 2?
I didn't actually prep this, but yeah. So that's Jet Set Radio right there. And what it is, for those not in the know, it is a sort of anime style sports skating game. So think Tony Hawk, but with graffiti and inline skates instead of skateboards, and also it's like super Japanese and like cartoon style, and like the aesthetic of it is mainly what gets it into so many top 10 lists, because it's, you know, it's aged like a lot of 3D platformers from the time have, but the soundtrack is absolutely pog. So it was done by a guy called Hideki Naganuma, and Hideki Naganuma is he's a little bit like Fatboy Slim. If you've ever listened to that much Fatboy Slim, but he's sort of like
Funk Soul Brother.
J-pop
Check it out now.
Funk, yeah, well, exactly, yeah. It like the whole soundtrack is like that. It's so good. Funky Dealer. Oh, Funky Dealer is such a great track.
Do you ever play Jet Set Radio, Mr. Storms?
What?
Have you ever played Jet Set Radio?
No, I've not.
It's on Steam. The Steam version is fantastic. It's always really cheap in sales.
Yeah, I've got it as well. I've not done that. I've not done like a little cult Sega playthrough collection. I'm doing a big one at the moment, but not those games.
If you want to play it on stream at any point, I'd definitely be down for
it. I played Crazy Taxi on stream. Like Crazy Taxi is my go-to game of like the retro Sonic games.
Yeah,
B-Day Joe. Oh,
it's like it's the same era. It came out basically in the same year as Crazy Taxi. And it was Sega were on like a little jaunt at the time where they were probably at their absolute creative peak. They were desperate to prove themselves again after the failure of their previous console, so all of the teams were on like all systems go, and within a year they had like Shenmue, Jet Set Radio, Phantasy Star Online, Crazy Taxi, and like a bunch of others. It was crazy.
Where did Monkey Ball come out around then as well?
But yeah, I guess, sorry?
Did Monkey Ball come out around then as well?
Monkey Ball was one of the first games they released on GameCube, went third party, so after the Dreamcast, kind of, rest in peace, they kind of dispersed different output to the 3 different platforms to test the waters. So a lot of the kind of high-end arcade games ended up on the Xbox, all the sort of experimental stuff. The mainstream like fighters and that kind of things, like the more adult themed games and less artsy games ended up on the PlayStation 2, but then the more kind of like mascot based family friendly stuff ended up on the GameCube. So the GameCube got Monkey Ball, the PlayStation 2 got Virtua Fighter 4, and the Xbox got stuff like Panzer Dragoon, Orta, and Gun Valkyrie, and all these kind of weird games, which was kind of cool. So they like split up their output depending on what they thought the target audience of each console would be, and it worked. They got back in the black within like 3 years, which is was really, really good for them. But no, their kind of creative boom before the Dreamcast busted, the pinnacle of it is often argued to be Jet Set Radio, because it's such a like an awesome, innovative, I would say it's like a sports 3D platform adventure game. So one of the coolest things about it was like there are 3 acts within each area of the city that you play, and you complete them in waves. So you do like the first act of every city area, and you do the second, and then the third. But then later on in the game, you'll play like a super mission, which is all 3 of the areas within one city kind of daisy chained into each other, and it reveals itself as this awesome like sprawling open world. It's like, what? This was all connected this whole time? It's so good. Yeah,
I think me and Will are just laughing at what was said in chat about what Jet Set Radio is.
It's really hard to describe.
Sounds like Sonic.
With a good OC, whatever. Yeah, and like the
it was made by Sega with the creative like, peak. Sounds like Sonic.
The like daisy chaining tricks and combos mechanics are so cool, and like I like run around the town spraying graffiti. Sort of like, yeah, great. That's real nice in chat though.
That's bait. That's bait.
It's so good.
That's so bait. Right.
Oh, sorry. I meant to put good in air quotes.
I made a mistake calling them acts. Okay, I will admit that. But yeah, no, Sega were making like racing sims at the time as well. You know, they were really branching out. But Jet Set Radio was one of the more sort of like artsy and it's an extreme rollerblading game that requires you to disobey the law by tagging. Yes, you go around spray painting things, and then you get the cops after you, and then when the cops fuck off, they send in the SWAT team, and sometimes they fuck off and they send in tanks and paratroopers. It's like being chased around Tokyo at nighttime by a Sherman tank and a guy with a machine gun is oh god, it's so much fun, and literally all you're doing is spray painting, and it pisses them off so much. It's like civil disobedience simulator.
I was gonna say it sounds like City Escape.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely brilliant. I like the momentum and flow that you can get.
And the truck runs behind you down.
Totally sick. It's so great. That can happen.
It can happen
actually, but it came out a year before Sonic Adventure 2, so
the inspiration was there. It's a cameo.
In the international version, you can even go to areas that are based on New York. So there's like a Times Square type area, and also like a kind of suburban skate park kind of, like poor man's estate kind of area as well.
So like I say, right, we'll move on. He's gonna get angry. Mr. Storms, we're going to move on to your number 4. So
you know what? My number 4 is actually incredibly similar to Greg's number 5.
Oh, is it Sonic Adventure?
No, it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Ooh, okay. I'm waiting for someone to bring out the top.
That's my favourite Valentine's game, by the way. Roses are red, violets are blue. Tony Hawk.
Time for some Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. That's not Skate. No, that's not EA Skate. I'm disappointed.
Right, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 has a better soundtrack than Jet Set Radio, guaranteed.
I'm going to challenge your Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 soundtrack with
it's a licensed soundtrack though,
with
isn't
it? With the Tony Hawk Underground 2 soundtrack.
Yeah,
I think Tony Hawk Underground. I thought the Underground games are better than Pro Skater.
Oh nah, dude! Until you like play them recently, like Underground 1, where you've got to like take control of the car, you've got to drive it around. Some of the controls in that game are not good. Yeah,
but it's funny though. It was very, very funny games. The Underground ones.
The rage mechanic in Underground, where like you just like if you bail, you just like start to get really pissed off yourself, and then like the more you mash, like the more you destroy your property and like start killing people. And you jump back on a like skateboard that comes out of thin air. And continue.
I just realised I could put them up there. That would make a bit more sense. Because I'm going to have the names down at the bottom.
I can't really think of a game that I spent. That's like my childhood. Like.
Oh yeah, go for the childhood one. Is that one of the games where you would go into? I mean, this is sort of like our culture where you'd go into Blockbuster, get a hired game for the weekend. And it's like
no. Dude, I did
that with Underground 2.
Right. Okay.
Like it was the only game I played, so I ended up like that. Like my PS1 collection was like 1 or 2 games, and then Tony Hawk's.
Fair enough. It's a very, very good choice. Skating games have obviously had a big. We've had a big fan base. Everyone was wanting a new skate game to come out, and it never came. Do you not like the skate?
No, I've tried to get into it. No, it's not the same.
But Skate 3, you've got to say, it's probably as
I understand why
as good as a skating game could ever get.
I understand why people love it, but I just I much prefer like the kind of arcadey controls and like fun of the Tony Hawk's game.
That is one of EA's best games. Too hard.
That was really magical.
Fell off after Underground 2. Like it just kind of progressively got worse, and then they released a peripheral because Guitar Hero was kind of popular.
They made what was it, Proving Ground on the Wii, and I think I had that. That was that made use of motion controls and the nunchuck as well. Like that didn't go so well.
No. Well, it had motion controls.
No, but motion controls are fine on the other fun games. Right. Like they are fine.
Motion controls weren't the problem.
No, they weren't the problem.
Dude, motion controls aren't the problem. Wait till he plays. Is it Sonic and the Secret Rings?
Yeah, we've got secret rings and Black Knight to play.
Sonic and the cack shite. Yeah.
I can't wait for all those facts to come through. Just slightly conscious of time because we've spent a lot of time having a bit of a chat. We
have, about Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. We're going to move on to Shinon's number 4. What have you got at number 4?
Super Smash Melee.
Of course.
Super Smash Bros. Melee is at number 4, and it's actually quite a recent climber on the list. And by recent climber, I mean like last couple of years or so. So I didn't actually really realize how much Super Smash Bros. Melee meant to me until reliving it and kind of re-experiencing it with a bunch of friends at university.
Right, that's a great explanation of Melee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no. So when I was a lot younger, I have a lot of stepbrothers and an older stepsister as well. And two of my stepbrothers had GameCubes, and obviously they had like a massive collection of controllers as well. And they both had Super Smash Bros. Melee. So the 4-player game that we used to all play together when they used to come around every other weekend was Super Smash Bros. Melee. And basically, all I was really good for on it at the time was hiding in the corner of the map, waiting for people to kill each other, and then swooping in for the last hit. And they would always complain, "Oh, look at Jack's kill count's really low compared to late on in the game."
We saw you doing the hiding in the corner strat on Rayman 3 as well.
But yeah, but I know for
that's
a fact
not changed.
You can't repeat what you called that particular strategy on stream, can you? I get the last laugh
but I
in
can
the head.
definitely say that it involved camping in a corner and waiting for.
Well, exactly, but yeah, no. So like, I actually something really clicked when I discovered the Melee competitive scene. I kind of stumbled across the fact that it still existed and was still a game. And a bunch of like people that I knew at university, but that wasn't necessarily like super close, brilliant friends with. Like, it was actually like part of how me and Mussy over there got to like know each other a little bit more.
Well, I never played Melee. Ooh, no, I steered clear away of that. I was washing my hands after touching all of the Melee players. Ooh, it's like, to the sink I go. Okay.
Yeah, because they all smell bad.
Ooh,
That's the
wipe
dream of the
down.
Melee
Got me tissues next to me. Ooh, I just shook hands with a Melee player. Ooh,
but
yikes.
Yeah, I know, but it meant a lot to me, and it was a good multiplayer experience. And I actually started getting pretty decent, and I realized what people meant about like the idea that the controls are almost unparalleled in how they feel and how responsive they are amongst fighting games. It's a really unique experience, Melee, and the soundtrack again is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, but it's not as good as Brawl.
I've had it on my phone for the last like 2 or 3 years. It's great, absolutely great.
Well, you've got to say you've got to say that Smash Ultimate's soundtrack's the best because it's got all the Melee songs on it.
Yeah, exactly.
And everything
in
else.
terms of like new original arrangements of older tracks, Melee I think brought the most to the table when it was first released.
It's a good point. Comp Melee it's probably exciting for people who've played Melee in the past to watch. Trying to get into that scene now is probably going to be an impossible job. It's people want to sort of see that exhibition of how buggy Melee is. Like
the skill floor is unbelievably high, but it's such a great game. I don't know why, but whenever I played any of the newer Smash games where it felt like there was real, consequence to winning and losing, and there was a lot more sort of, the controls feel a lot more committal. It's almost like in Smash Bros. Melee, you can just like press a button, and if you make a mistake, the move's over in a third of a second, so you can jump out of it, and you can bounce back several times in a heartbeat, right? Like it's ridiculous just how responsive it is and how fun it felt to play. And even if I lost, I always felt like my mind had a good workout, right?
Yeah,
Melee's not
like brain training.
Yeah,
which was on your top 5, but apparently this is another list. I've not actually seen this list before.
That's not a real
brain training.
But yeah, no, I love playing as Falco. I love Falco so much.
The problem with Comp Melee is not the controls, it's the meta behind it. Yeah, you'd see the same sort of...
It's also an interesting example of what would happen if a multiplayer competitive, like, professional scene kind of game was allowed to linger for a decade and a half with no updates whatsoever. It's like...
Yeah, and it's probably the only game of that... It's only going to be the only game of that kind.
It changes because they banned wobbling and ice climbers.
It's the only one. Yeah, it's the only one. So yeah, that's Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Yeah.
Also,
Fox
is the best map and with the best
much.
Music. So
yeah,
there we go.
All right, fair. That's a good number 4. It's an interesting list you've got here. Gotta say, I'm surprised you've dropped brain training. Number 3
for the age of 20.
Number 3 for. Oh wait, no, he had WarioWare at number 4, didn't he? And then it was brain training at number 5. Right, Will, number 3. What have you got at number 3?
Number 3. Time Split is Future Perfect.
Time Splitters Future Perfect. Have I got that right?
Yeah. That was like after I moved out of like the PS1 and like Tony Hawk's had kind of started to like, I think it was after Underground 2, and that kind of started to like die off. Like that just became what me and all my friends did. So it's like we ended up like going out and like we bought like a multi-tap and stuff. Like everyone owned the game, like, and everyone was like always prepared for everyone to come over and just have like a massive game.
Oh,
like,
I think did I play that with you once? Was that what I played?
Yeah, I actually got it run at the random game tournament. Once,
Oh,
and
that's what I
That was a
played.
bad decision. That was.
It was sort of. I sort of understood it after about a few. It just didn't take too long to sort of get it, but it was kind of a bit. It was kind of a bit frantic.
It's just,
and I thought
it's so extravagant.
Ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever played.
So
Ridiculously fun.
the one I played was Time Splitters 2, and I always loved Time Splitters 2. So I get it. Time Splitters is really, really good.
No, I never owned.
You can still play it fairly well if you get the like a PS2. And then, like, you can map it to mouse controls, and then like piss about the sensitivity, so it doesn't feel like absolute dog shit like it does if you go back and play it on a PS2 now.
Fair.
You got
a good reaction.
Play the GameCube version.
It is, yeah.
You got a good reaction from the audience there for that one. I think they like you a bit more now.
But it's also like the custom maps on Future Perfect, just keep it going forever. Like me and friends were like when we weren't hanging out together, like we'd be at home creating custom maps, and then like when someone came around, it's like massive play testing session alongside like playing all the classic maps.
Dude.
And it's just like you can. I think our favourite one was one of my friends made from home, and it was called Moo Moo Town, and that was like transported around like a sacred relic and like the memory card. And it was like always brought around to people's house, like sticking the number 2 slot, so we always had access to the map.
That's cool.
I know. I've got. Yeah, it's interesting. I would say I like it when we hear a bit more of the games where it's. I've not played them, so I like to see how these games sort of touch the souls of everyone else. And no, it's interesting. I mean, I have the best shooter. I think I don't really play any shooters until shamelessly. I've got to say one of my first proper shooters was COD. That's how. A bit normy I am on the sort of.
I played Halo on a friend's Xbox
on the shooter scale.
I never really liked first-person shooters, though. It's like my problem with them was that until about 2007 or 8, the newest console I owned was a Dreamcast, which only has one analog stick. So it's like you can guess how many first-person shooters there were for that console. The only two I can think of were Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament, neither of which I was really old enough to play and enjoy back when they were relevant and the online still worked. It's
shit, they'd have had tank controls as well.
No, they're first-person shooters. Well, all first-person games.
But they've only got one analog stick.
Control. Yeah. So what you do is you strafe with A, B, X, and Y, and you look around with the analog stick. It's really fucking weird.
That sounds horrible.
Alternatively, you can get the official Dreamcast keyboard and mouse, and with the integrated dial-up mode,
you can play PC.
You can play online against PC players with the keyboard and mouse. So there we go.
Fair. Interesting choice, Will. Well, interesting choice.
It's a good choice.
You've got a.
It's probably something that I've ever been. It's like probably a game franchise that I just sit there and play through.
Time Splitters is a solid series. The first one's not so good, but the second one in Future
There's been some fans that's supposed to be like trying to do like a remaster for the years now, but that's
number 3.
And the company got absolved after Haze.
Number 3 for Shinon, where we're just we don't want to have this thing going on all night, so
that's okay. We'll try and be quick. Number 3 for Shinon is Rayman 2.
Right.
So Rayman 2, specifically the Dreamcast version of Rayman 2, is the one that I love the most, and it's actually the one that the developers love the most as well, because it's when they port it to new systems, like the 3DS version, I think was the most recent. They used the Dreamcast version as a base for it, but basically, of all of the 3D platformers from the kind of transcendenary era between 5th generation and 6th generation, I think there's a point at which 3D action platformer third-person controls and gameplay mechanics were perfected to the point of not really changing that much anymore. And Rayman 2 is the best example of a game that was just on the cusp of that. not necessarily because I enjoyed it as much as the other games from those eras at the time, but because I think it's aged the best. It's like Mario 64 if Mario 64 aged like people pretend that it has. So
you streamed it for like on a full Games in One session.
I know. I sat through the whole of Mario 64 in one go, and like a playthrough of that game is basically always the same for me. So I start out with a lot of energy and a lot of drive, and like, I love this game. The soundtrack's so good, but you get sort of 4 hours into it, and it's just like, I actually never want to play this game ever again. And true to my word, I haven't played it since.
Rayman 3 is the best 3D Rayman.
Rayman 3 is the one you grew up with, but Rayman 2, in my opinion, is the more polished of the games. Definitely, I think it's
Rayman 2 is more polished than Rayman 3.
Yeah, I do. Which version of Rayman 2 did you play? The PS1 version? If you played the PS1 version, then it doesn't count because about a fifth of it is just straight missing, and also the level design is like very simplified and toned down. There are no underwater areas in the PS1 version of Rayman 2. All of them are completely cut out.
Well, you didn't get the full game
Rayman
then.
Revolution's like, yeah, it's not even the full game. Like, the PS1 version is like a cut down, stripped out, like, it's basically a demake of it that was made by, I think, Ubisoft China or something like that. Yeah, so
yeah, but I feel like
Revolution on the PlayStation 2, I didn't really like it. It was sort of like a kind of remix, rearrangement of the, and all the levels were in a different order as well. So you go to like the second to last level halfway through the game, and it's badly paced, and there's no real continuity to it, and you have to backtrack across the open world. But like the standard Rayman 2 experience, even if you only play like the PC or N64 versions or whatever, is great. But the Dreamcast version, I think, is still the best. And I'm absolutely longing for an HD remaster of that version specifically. Because I think it's like the last Ubisoft game from that era that was really, is one of the most ported games ever. But if they could just do one last update.
Rayman 3 got a remake. Rayman 3 got a remake.
Yeah, it did, and like I really wanted Rayman as well. So like no disrespect to Rayman 3, but I think that Rayman 2 was, well, as a piece of 3D game design, it's like a landmark milestone.
We're waiting for Rayman and Smash Ultimate. Of course we are.
Absolutely.
Of course we are. It might come. We're hoping.
Very possible. Very possible, because Rayman 2 did come out on the N64. Was on the game.
But it's a spirit, so we don't know. Maybe they're teasing us with it. He's a spirit in Smash, but maybe they're just teasing us
with DLC.
Will Storms, number 2. What is your silver medal?
Our silver medal goes to one of the greatest franchises, but one game in particular is undoubtedly the best one, and that's Little Big Planet.
Ooh, that's more recent.
Why not one of the other games from that series?
So the first one,
the original one is just undoubtedly the best.
Have you got any of these? You said you were going to get these games out.
Sorry, what? Oh yeah, I have all of them here, including the shitty PSP one. Got that one. Even the karting one.
Oh.
Little Big Planet 3 is absolute dog shit. That game should have just been burnt. It's just the character switch was.
Why not 2? You've got sad for not having Little Big Planet 2.
So number 1, I think, had the best in terms of like the story mode levels. It had the best one because also it showed you like you had all the switches and stuff that you could use inside the levels to create things to happen. And in the first game, those were always visible in all the levels because it then showed you kind of like how the developers of the game went about creating the levels and making them all work within the editor. It's just like a really nice touch, and it just had a lot more character and it's a lot more fun. And it's like, because it was just pure platforming game, it kind of made sure that they kind of tried to like always have something cool happening and kind of have like a lot of interesting things. And in terms of community levels, because it was just the platforming game, like it forced them to try and like push what it could do, what the editors could allow them to do.
So you like stuff with user-generated content, it seems, because that's been like a common feature for the last couple of. Wasn't there like a feature in a Tony Hawk's game where you could make your own skate park or something?
Yeah, that's been in since like Pro Skater 2.
Yeah, you could have. Yeah, that's been in since ages.
It's interesting.
His first game's Mario Maker. Calling it.
But in Little Big Planet 2, you had like they had the circuit board that they added which just meant that the entirety of like the story mode was just filled with like loads of gimmicks and stuff because it was trying to show you about how all the things worked. But because that added so much like complexity onto it and like creating circles and like programming stuff, that it ended up everything was always hidden, and it was just a bit enough. It's still a great game, but it's just nowhere near as fun.
I think that probably what you're saying is that like they reached a point of diminishing returns at which like bolting on more features made all the rest of them less accessible. And despite the fact that the functionality was technically more impressive, it was like compromised by the fact that it was more difficult.
It also meant that you had to like download the level when you went online to like play a custom level. And it's like, and with that added complexity, it's like you spent so long downloading the level.
Yeah.
But also towards the end of Little Big Planet 1, just before 2 came out, some people got really good at like pushing that game to its limits and creating like really fleshed out worlds and stuff for like levels, making it ridiculously pretty and super fun to play.
Cool.
Little Big Planet 3 went too far.
I've ever seen, I'd say. Probably the best character creator.
Did Little Big Planet 3 go too far?
Yeah, they kind of added an additional gimmick of different characters, and it just detracted so much. It was just so bad.
What do you mean Sonic Forces didn't have the best character creator in any game you've ever played, Will?
I think you find the best character creation is Tony Hawk Underground 2, where you can
it's Spore on the PC. Do you remember that game?
Right.
Sonic
Forces may have had my boy James Eric Falcon, Jeff Short.
I can't wait till we get to Forces. I can't wait.
Had actually had more creative tips. You could like have accessories, then you could pin them on the character, and then you could kind of like basically had unlimited creative possibilities.
I can't wait to make a Persona on stream.
I'm actually going to fucking scream.
Can't wait to make a Persona. Honestly, it's going to be so sick. Little Big Planet is Willstorm's number 2. We're going to ask for Shinon Stream's silver medal.
My number 2 is one that you like, Johnny. My
is it?
2
I can't remember what it was.
Is Nights into Dreams.
Alright, yeah, I do like that one.
No, it's a really good game, actually. I love Nights into Dreams.
Wait, and I know what your favourite quote is. It's the best game when the Sonic team enjoyed making games. Or something along those lines.
Yeah, it's back when they weren't quite so like strong-armed into pouring all of their innovation into exclusively making Sonic. And like each of the individual games, I think, were more innovative as a result of the fact that they didn't have to do Sonic. So basically, as a reward for the extreme success of the Sonic franchise in the early 90s, Sega sort of Sonic team the budget to make their absolute dream game, and what they developed was this sort of 2.5D. I'm not really going to call it a platformer. It's like a platformer.
No, it's not a platformer. I know what you mean. No. It's sort of a floated around thing.
It's kind of indefinable by genre, but it's almost like a high score arcade type high speed 3D
see what
action
Wikipedia
game,
says.
What
action game. That's about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's what Sonic Team has always been
best
at.
Although it says 3D, right? It doesn't say 2.5D. I would say it was 3D.
Yeah, so it exists in a 3D world, but your main plane of controls is sort of like horizontal and vertical until like the sections where the camera switches and that sort of thing. But basically, you play as a sort of mythical court jester, I guess would be the best way to describe Knights.
Yeah, it's like an angel that can fly like a bird.
Yeah, it's like a sort of guardian angel that visits children in their dreams and allows them to kind of literalize and then overcome the kind of the nightmares and real life conflicts and psychological blocks that are keeping them down. And by the end of the game, the most exciting thing really that happens is that the little boy Elliot learns how to play football and has the courage to try out for tournaments, and then the little girl oh shit, what the hell's her name? Claris, that's it. The little girl Claris learns how to sing, and it's great. So it's like a happily ever after, and you solve the incredible conflict going on in the world in like the dream world, which the evil wise man the wizard Is it Wise Man the Wizard or is it Wise Man the Wicked? I can never remember. But yeah, the evil Wise Man is trying to take over Dreamland. You gotta stomp him out. So like, Knights has this sort of battle in the other world storyline, and the kids have this kind of like, I need to play football and sing.
Party Wise Man.
They sometimes have common interests. Yeah, no, it's great. And then it's another one where the music is absolutely fantastic. I could talk about the A-Life system. I could talk about the Saturn analog controller that they made specifically to support the game. They released a analog 3D control stick for the Sega Saturn just for Knights. I could talk about all the HD re-releases, but it's another one of those games that like has a really great Steam port, and you can just like buy it when it's super.
Yeah, no, you saw me
stuff.
play it, didn't you? Did you not see me play it, stream it? I did stream it.
It was the first thing I ever streamed. I just sort of hopped on and did some Nights into Dreams.
I haven't played the sequel.
Journey of Dreams on the Wii. Yeah, no, I'd like to actually. I've never really experienced it, but it was.
I think I actually bought that game for us to play while we were at uni.
It's about 7 out of 10 mixed reviews.
But no, it's a good game, and it was nice to see the kind of like core.
I just read a quick
spirit of Sonic Team.
Just read a quick message about the journey of Dreams. This reviewer said, it's good that they retained its old school feeling despite being aimed at a new audience, but they disliked the dire retry style of gameplay, which he considered old fashioned. He doesn't like hard games.
Oh yeah, they consider that old-fashioned in 2007.
If you make a game hard, it's old-fashioned, and that's
ridiculous.
Yeah, Knights of the Dunes has got a really, really good soundtrack on it as well, which is like really,
and
really
it changes depending on the mood.
Genuinely, it's really good.
NPCs in the level, which is great. So if you accidentally kill too many of the nice NPCs, it gets kind of darker, but if you get rid of all of the enemies and get high scores and stuff, then it brightens up and becomes happy and jolly and all the rest of it.
Yes, happy and jolly. Yes, we're going around, flying around, picking up lots of gems and saving the day.
Chips.
Generally saving the day.
I love it. It's such a good game. It's a great like high score attack arcade.
We are over scheduling, but I think it should be okay just to go through. We are on the last part of the stream now, so we are going to go for it.
Cool.
Our favourite games. I think I already know what Shenanigans is, but he will have the privilege of announcing it out to the masses. But we'll ask Will Storms, is your favourite game?
Is it Sonic Forces?
Is it Sonic Forces?
No.
Oh.
No. Unfortunately,
I'm
not.
sorry, chat. We disappointed you tonight.
To everyone's dismay, as much as I do love that.
What
game,
is your favourite game of all time?
100% it. It's kind of strange because I feel like a lot of the games that I have are just like ones that have defined periods of my life.
Always being all sentimental. I'm so emotional.
I'm so emotional. Bring it together, Will.
Get it together. Come on, hold it. You.
Number one game all time, best game ever created ever, League of Legends.
Oh my god! Right. Who wants? Shall we? Let's have a vote. Are we kicking Will from the call here? Oh, that's not right. Who's?
Dude, I met you as a friend for League of Legends. How can you
His Chai said last week that I think his favourite game was League, and I was like, oh no, he said Crash. Crash was his favourite game, but he had League of Legends in his top 5. Dude, you're getting awards of being kicked here. You've got to save some. You've got to save this, or else you are being kicked.
Well, like if you like think of like an overwhelming experience, like it's a game that I've been playing for fucking hell, for 6 years now, like non-stop. The number of friends I've made through that game, which includes you and Mike as well.
Yeah, but I'm not going to put it in my top 5. It's like I'm not going to put. I played a lot of games with a lot of people online, but they're not in my top 5.
And then it's a game that's like I'm massively invested into like the competitive scene of it as well, and I've been following that for like since season 3. So for like six years, and then kind of more seriously following it for like the last 4, like properly following every single league and stuff. It's just a game that I think is near perfection in terms of what a game can be.
I think it's safe to say
it has the exact right communication between like not the exact right, they fuck up from time to time, but like in terms of like how they go about balancing the game and how they kind of go about maintaining it for future.
I think my life would be 10 times
Do you know
better
something?
if I didn't know
I kind of get the thing with sort of like open-ended online games, like multiplayer online games, being on a top 10 list, because like the number 10 spot historically on my top 10 list has always been reserved for the one online game of the moment that I can sort of afford the time to play, and at the moment it's 100% Orange Juice. But obviously we're not going 10 to 6, but like it used to be Heroes of the Storm, so it's understandable. And if you spent like that many hours and that much time on a game, I suppose there must be something to it. And I cited the competitive scene when I talked about Melee. No game has ever had a competitive scene quite like League of Legends. It makes sense.
Thank you.
What do I say? I think, in the sense of the esports scene, which we've seen a massive rise in, I think you've got to say that League of Legends was the front runner in helping esports become as big as it is. But now you've got so many games that are sort of on that esports scene, so it's kind of...
We have League of Legends to thank for the continued success of the platform that we're currently on.
Yeah,
so...
they've done esports. They did do esports right. I do got to say the whole system of their they did their
and it's
esports
culturally important, and it's not like an obnoxious kiddie game like Fortnite. And also, there's a really famous League of Legends player that likes cosplaying as a girl. And
all right, let's not talk about that. That's another. That's
were it not
no,
favorite Western player just because he does that. Like China and Korea just absolutely love him. And like when he goes over, he does stuff with like the most popular cosplayers over there. And, like,
I know, it's fucking ridiculous. He's like actually so fuckable, it's unreal.
No,
anyway.
No, stop.
What, are you not allowed to talk about girls you find attractive?
Did you not hear what he just said? Like, it's a Twitch gaming streaming podcast. It's not talking about what
streams.
Professional League of Legends player.
That guy is a streamer. Technically, it's relevant to
It's
both
not relevant.
the current topic of League of Legends.
No, it's not relevant. It's not relevant. It's not relevant.
In terms
at
of
all.
being a Twitch streamer.
In no way is it relevant. Just right, okay. Look, I've somehow managed to keep you on this call after you've said publicly that your top #1 game of all time is League of Legends. League of Legends. That is Will Storm's favourite game. We now move on to someone with at least some taste. With Shinon streams. What is your #1 game? I'm already going to start typing it out for you.
Anyone in the chat want to guess?
I've already done it now.
There you go. You got it.
If it's not what I think it is, I just
yeah. Oh wait. Oh no, I misspelled it. I misspelled it. I misspelled. I can't believe I misspelled it.
Is Sonic Adventure the first one?
No, I misspelled it.
It absolutely is.
I completely
completely
miswrote what I meant to have put down on there,
And
so I do apologise. So please explain to us why Sonic Forces is your #1 favourite game.
Shut the fuck up.
And that's what you said, isn't it? I heard that.
No, it's not. No, it isn't. No.
Why not?
So Sonic Adventure is my favourite game of all time. Damn, it's not the best game of all time, and I'm under no illusions that it could ever be considered the best game of all time. And it's very divisive and very controversial and very sort of like it's a historical part of like not just 3D gaming as like the franchise it was in, but also 3D gaming as a whole. That and it attempted to be so many things to so many people at such a sort of transient and like transformative point in the history of 3D gaming that it had to fail at some things. And let's think about it.
Will's just showing his Shrek Battle Royale copy.
But at the same time, like from the point of view of ambition, I think that like there's something really inspiring about where the developers were at the time and what they were trying to achieve with it, and the fact that they had like a point to prove and a goal as unfocused and broad-based as it was. Sonic Adventure. Okay, so I want a little bit about like the actual game itself and not just like
keep it brief because we don't want to keep everyone here all night.
Sonic Adventure has everything, right? It has extreme sports, snowboarding because it's the 90s and we're super cool. It has like a pet raising mini game because it's the 90s and Pokemon and Tamagotchi are really popular. It has like a cool enemy boss made of like water effects because water effects are really, really hard to do. And we've got this brand new next-gen console that we need to ship. It's got this massive open hub world where you can talk to all the characters and all of the different like NPCs have their own little storylines and developing kind of character arcs that they go on over the course of the game. And it makes sense because Final Fantasy VII did that. Final Fantasy VII was like the best-selling game for the PS1 for like however many years it was on top for. Final Fantasy VII had a load of mini games, so Sonic Adventure's got to have a load of mini games as well. And on top of that, it tries to be so sort of like balls to the wall and hype and fun and fresh and exciting, and just not the kind of like plonks you in the middle of an open world and expects you to perform a load of missions located in the same general area. So like Mario 64 reused a lot of its levels and a lot of its assets by basically just launching you into the same map a couple of times and placing different objectives around an open environment. Sonic Adventure does it differently by only ever reusing pieces of levels a maximum of twice. Like, they set themselves a hell of a task making that game and bringing the kind of high-speed 3D, high-speed like momentum-based action physics of 2D Sonic into a 3D space, which would have been kind of impossible in any other way at the time. And it's such a product of the era in which it was released.
No, I mean,
has such a legacy on 3D gaming since that. Yeah,
memes aside, I did say when I played it, I thought I had to take into consideration when these games were made fairly. I think I've been quite fair in my views of the Sonic games.
You gave it a 7 out of 10,
and I did give it a 7 out of 10 because of the reason where I thought it was genuinely a fun idea. I didn't do all the Chow mini games. I thought, I'm not doing them on stream. The actual doing all the story, there was some absolute like bangers in there as well, some really good songs, and the levels
the soundtrack is legendary.
The levels were fun to do, and I thought, like in what it had, I thought it was very, very fun with the actual gameplay. There's a lot
core sort of like the Sonic gameplay, the core sort of action gameplay of it is still fantastic.
All of the stuff that you did with Sonic. And then
does it have Knuckles and Tails in it? They're like
Sonic, of course. Yeah, of course.
And Sonic, it's kind of so. The only reason why I downvoted those games were the only reasons why is because you've got the stories where it's like, I don't really want to be doing this, and you've also got like the sort of I did not like the camera controls, but I mean we had that argument about. They did try. I think they definitely tried the hardest to shift 2D and 3D, and in more ways than failures, in more successes than failures. I think they did quite a good job.
Smashing Minds made a kind of an interesting comment there, and I feel like it's kind of typical on the way that Sonic Adventure is often remembered and characterized in its sort of place in history, which is, I'll give you credit that Sega tried their damn hardest to shift 2D and 3D. It did not turn out well. The thing is, it did. Sonic Adventure was released to universal critical and commercial acclaim. It was the best-selling game on the Dreamcast, and Sonic Adventure 2, the sequel, was the best-selling game on the GameCube that wasn't made by Nintendo. So, there's no way you can say that it didn't do well. It was getting like 8, 9.
No, it's a fair. I think they did. I think they have done rather well. If it didn't do well, we wouldn't have Sonic today. You could say
exactly, because like Sonic wouldn't have survived the collapse of the Dreamcast, and Sega wouldn't have survived of the Dreamcast if not for games like Sonic Adventure. If not that
I think that's fair. I think I've got to agree on that as well.
Do you think it would have been a better game if they didn't have Knuckles and Tails, because those levels are much more boring than Sonic?
No, but they're appealing characters.
And also focus on like having more proper stages than the open world.
They're appealing characters.
Having multiple playable characters was a big feature at the time. It was a big hook. They had to be more in every single parameter than every game that came before it. It was released in the same quarter as Ocarina of Time and Metal Gear Solid, just as a base for comparison. And okay, fine, there are elements of those games that have aged considerably better, but I don't think that either have necessarily the far-reaching sort of variation and
But people die by Zelda. People like die by Zelda in sort of
and Metal Gear Solid and all the rest of it.
And as people will do for Sonic, and the reason why they're still like very much appreciated now is because of how well they did it on that generation. I think.
Yeah.
It definitely. Look, I'm going through the Sonic. I'm going through the Sonic games, and I'm probably going to end up seeing now how this dip from I'm gonna say Sonic Heroes is the last point before the big cliff. It's sort of the last point on the cliff before we sort of go into the abyss of what.
Don't you have like? Isn't the next game like really good, isn't it? Sonic
it's really good. I hear it's Shadow the Hedgehog. I heard it's really really good.
I know it's Shadow is awful.
No, I heard it's really good. It's sort of like halfway down the abyss, but I don't know when our low point's going to be on that run.
Sonic
that
2006, probably you will find the worst. Unleashed. I mean, there are good things about it, but there are also there's like a substantial portion of that game is just an absolute fucking slog, and you will see exactly.
UK Action Sinrage, welcome man, welcome to the podcast stream. We're sort of ending this one up.
I do actually agree with Mirasoi. Ocarina of Time is not actually a good game. It's just it was good for its time. It was an of its time game.
Yeah. In much the same way that Sonic Adventure, but you know, it's a Zelda and it's a Nintendo, so it gets a free pass. And I grew up with the Nintendo 64 and all the rest of it.
I think Zelda fans, if you notice how sort of.
It's like they pretend the games were so much better than the
actual people die by Zelda, like, and I feel like was it really that special?
They'll make excuses for N64 that would be unacceptable for any other publisher or manufacturer. It's just like, oh yeah, N64 era Nintendo games are perfectly excusable because the time it was released and they did it first. Oh, but you know, Dreamcast and Sega Saturn era Sega games, terrible. You know, Sonic Adventure has aged badly. It's like, fuck off, dude. Fuck off. Like, anyway, yeah, no, I know it's like super bad over here. I don't know what the hell is going on. I can't control the aperture on my camera, so it's crap. Logitech C922 is a real piece of garbage, unfortunately. But
garbage? Are you trying to like rub in the accent?
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, going back to something that Ill Intelligence said, Sonic 06 is not hard barrier unbeatable. It's actually not a particularly difficult game. The hardest bit is like
what, Adventure 2?
Training yourself to tolerate it. No, Sonic 06. 2006.
Is it tolerating the load screen?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the problem with Sonic 06 really is that like you can teach yourself how to S-rank the entire game on the hard difficulty without hitting a single glitch, but you shouldn't have to put as much sort of effort and learning and rote memorization into playing a game as you do into enjoying, even like at a cursory level, enjoying Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. Like, it's just not worth it. Glitched or broken? No, that's not true.
Oh,
it might be like it's glitched so that you can't 100% it, but you can definitely any percent it. You can complete it. Yeah, you can get stuck on the silver fight, but you can just restart that. It's not a problem.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, and I've heard good, I've heard bad, but I'm looking forward to it.
So Sonic 06 is like interesting because it is really as bad as people say. Like however bad you think it's going to be, it's that bad. And
but it's going to be funny. It's going to be a funny bad. It's going to be a funny bad. Hopefully.
I hope so as well. To the room. You should. Oh yeah, no, it's the room. Like Sonic 06 is the room of video games, basically. But imagine if Steven Spielberg made.
You don't think it'd be funny, bad? We've got to get.
As it was.
We've got to get through it.
In fairness, the jokes will end once you hit a loading screen. It's like.
Right. What about in the sense of when I get to Sonic 06, we can make it as a sort of. I don't think you're allowed to advertise it in this way, but we'll have a drinky stream for
every time you hit a glitch
for
Craig,
for Sonic 06.
You know the speedrun for Sonic 06,
Yeah.
how much did it reduce the time of the speedrun when they like cut out the loading times? It like
Oh, it was
halved
like,
didn't
it was like something like a third of it was just loading screens. So my advice when you get Sonic 06 is get the Xbox 360 version and install it to the 360's hard drive. Basically, that's it, because it like cuts down on loading times pretty substantially. Taking rewards for donations is.
Oh yes,
reward.
we're then well.
Yeah.
We don't want people to donate and sub here because I appreciate people watching for free. I provide free entertainment, as discussed earlier.
Your time is valuable. It's like so
Oh,
scarce and precious that it's valuable enough.
Yeah,
for
we've done had both leeches here. Right, well, I think that's been a very, very good podcast.
Excellent.
And I think, how have you enjoyed yourselves,
Absolutely.
Sean and Will Storms?
I miss streaming.
It's been pretty decent.
You know, like having a kind of crappy internet connection and living with parents and all the rest of it. It's
Oh
just
yes,
like
that
the
bothersome
biggest-
thing.
the biggest opportunity for me to get back in front of a live audience and talk again, which is what I love doing, is these podcasts. So thank you very much for that.
You don't
Again,
say.
No worries.
for the entire audience.
You're at most appearances at the moment. You record for most appearances.
Yeah, no.
We might have to put you into the We might have to put you into the vault for a few episodes. But yeah, we'll probably have you back on at some point. It's
Is
not.
he going to get put in the Fallout 76 vault and come out?
Maybe. And Will Storage,
A broken shell of his former self.
have you been on?
that's
Have
what
you
I
been
am
on
right now,
streams
anyway.
before, like for having a bit of a chat? Will, have
What,
you
me?
been? Yeah.
I have actually streamed League of Legends before, for like as a bit of a joke ages ago. and
Yeah,
I
you
have actually played on yours.
terrorized Mussey's 24-hour stream.
Oh, you did come on the 24-hour because it's in my. It was in my Christmas ad when when you sat on me.
And I've been on your stream when we play Mario Party and stuff.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah, you were around
you
here
were
as
around
well.
the
You
house.
did come. That was actually in front of a live audience as well. Yeah, you did come with Mr. Wackra. Speaking of Mr. Wackra and there was good news. If you hadn't seen the good news on my Twitter, the announcement was that we've got a full month of guests booked for the show, which is excellent news. It means we've actually got we've actually this is on
got a show.
It's on a proper show. We're on a proper.
If Ermax doesn't appear in one of those episodes, I'm going to cry.
It's not actually got AMX on it yet. We have to see when we can fit him in. No, we've got a full month. So this was the first one. So we've got the next 3 episodes are booked with guests. And next week we'll be going back to 1 guest for next week. And then for the week after, and then the week after, so they're all going to be single guests again. And I think after that we'll have another. We'll have a multi-guest. A multi-guest every once a month could be. I think
Multi-guest streaming.
multi-guest streaming once a month could be a good thing. We could look forward to that kind of stream. So next week we've got Mr. Fat Mamba is coming.
Really?
He's
Hey.
coming to the stream to talk about the very, very stuff. He's got a lot of opinions. We know we know he's got his opinions, and we know
I'll be
we're interested to hear an actual surprise. It is an actual surprise, and I'm actually announcing
Yeah.
these properly for the next
In advance, because let's face it, the reason why they used to be kept secret was because they didn't know until the night before.
Well, because we were just starting out, that's why I needed people to actually want to
gotta
come
be.
on the stream. But I appreciate the people who have come on the stream so far
That's awesome.
and enjoyed it. And I'm glad that you two have enjoyed tonight's show, and I hope anyone's enjoyed as well.
Yeah.
Next week is Fat Mamba.
It's a
and
shame
if
we
you
didn't
do,
get to discuss how bad Sonic Adventure is and how bad Sonic Adventure 2 is.
of course,
Rejected these
there
games.
is always the option for anyone to come on come onto the podcast. It is open for all to come enjoy and come take part. If you're lucky, you might come on one of the multi-guest ones. Of course, Will's no streamer, but he's enjoyed his time today.
Yeah.
No streamer.
Well, he's no streamer. Come on, gotta have some skill.
Be honest.
So I'm gonna just get once I get
You don't need skill to stream. You've proven that, Johnny.
oh, great. I've tried. If you
And
do,
on that bombshell,
and on that bombshell, if you do want to appear on the show, and you're more than happy to apply, and more than welcome to
go
apply.
to bbc.co.uk/be on the show.
There is the link if you do want to come on the show, or I will sort of maybe get in touch and ask you if you want to come on. So we have got we've got a response, and they are going to come on the stream in a few weeks' time. Yeah, we've had responses. Of course, we have responses. We're popular.
Oh, sponsor. I thought you said sponsor.
No. Ooh, sponsor. That's a good shout. We might have to see that. We might have to find that out if we can get a sponsor sometime. Anyway, we're going to end because we've gone half an hour past the intended for this time. But I appreciate all the conversation. I appreciate all of the engagement, all the chats that's been happening today.
Wicked.
So thank you, guests. Saturday is going to be Shadow the Hedgehog. I don't know how long that game is. I'm probably going to split that over a Saturday and Sunday stream again. So I hope you can tune in for that. Make sure you're in the igloo, Twitch igloo. We are running this podcast from Twitch igloo. So make sure you come and make sure you keep updated on all the good stuff that we're doing in there, and follow Twitter, of course. Thank you to Shinon, and thank you to Will. See you later, guys. I'm going to head over to the end of the screen, and I'm going to bounce off the call, and I'm going to speak to you two off. So say goodbye to everyone. Say goodbye. See you on Saturday for Shadow the Hedgehog. Take care.
Later, guys.
Peace. Boop.
Peace.
Bye.
challenge for another game. These are the powers that take away your pain. Let me fly into the dark horizon. Tis the fun again and again. Drop by drop, I'll empty my heart. Keep on beating right till the end. On these wings of silver light, I'm soaring far beyond the end of the sky. Stars reflected in my eyes. Into the world we shout goodbye.